What is good, family? This is your girl. I am Courtney Michelle, and I am back with another live. You guys, I'm excited about this one because this one's going to be a fun one for me. Usually, I don't do movie reviews. I did one about um, the Black Panther, the second one, and you guys, that went really, really well. That was fun for me. So this is going to be another fun one. It's not per se a movie review. It's more like a series from previous movies. And there was so much to discuss about what I saw. I am a fan of the franchise, and the franchise that I'm talking about is The Best Man. If you guys aren't familiar, get familiar. For those that have been watching it since 1999, this is going to be fun. I want to get everyone's opinion about the movie, what is going on. I see you, E Black. I see you, Chemo. I see you, Dr. Eugene Steele. So, yeah. I'm going to go ahead and talk about it. I'm going to go ahead and bring up my guests. I have two special, dear people that are going to discuss the series along with me. So I'm going to go ahead and bring them up. First person I want to invite, he is not a stranger to the panel. He was on here when I did the Wakanda Forever. We are going to give it up for Cool Movie Reviews. What is going on with you?
Yeah, can't call it. Court, how you feeling?
I'm feeling good. How are you?
Good, man. Good living. It's New Year's, almost the New Year, so we
Almost
here.
2 years. You have
Yeah,
a good
yeah.
Christmas?
I did. What about you?
Not bad at all. I can't complain.
Hey, definitely.
Yeah.
So this is gonna be fun. We rocked with Wakanda Forever, and I had to when you invited me to do this, man. I just watched it. I just finished the series yesterday,
Yeah,
and it's a lot of good talking points with this. A lot of
it is. It
interesting.
is. So I'm excited to talk about it.
Definitely.
And then I am going to spend. Oh, now this guest that I have, you guys, is near and dear to me. I've known him all my entire life. And this is his first time on the panel, but it better not be his last. This is Hulk Colo Beats, better known to me as my big brother.
That's right. What is good, man?
I brought my brother on, and we're gonna discuss it. Discuss. What's going on, Lo?
Man, hey, I'm good. I am Courtney Michelle, my sister. I don't like to say little sister, but my sister for sure. What's good, which I'm so glad to be on the panel. Our discussions we've had about Best Man. You let me know that it was coming on. I said, okay, I'm going to watch it, of course. But
Mm-hmm.
hey, this is going to be a great conversation. Shout out to everybody that's in the comment section. Real quick, me and Jacques, we do a podcast together for the NFL, for the Tennessee Titans Weekly. So if you get a chance, check us out. He has cool movie reviews, and for me, for those that like hip hop beats, soul trap bangers, check me out on YouTube. Cold Low Beats. The song that y'all hear on her show is the beat that I
Yeah,
made, so y'all check it out. So
absolutely.
we're not new to this podcast thing, but
No,
new on
we
the
not.
show. Courtney, I'm very glad to be here with you for sure. And
Yep.
I'm
she's
excited.
not only my sister, she's my best female friend for sure.
This
Me and her
is
chop it up
my
all
brother.
the time.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
talk about my brothers all the time when I'm
yeah,
talking about, men issues and why I feel this way and da da da
yeah,
da da. So
for
I'm
sure.
excited that, they get to meet, one of the men that's very, very important to me in my life. So thank you so much for joining.
Absolutely, Courtney, for sure.
All right. So let's go ahead and get in it. First, I'll say with me, I have been a fan of The Best Man since it started. And I think one of the reasons why I love the movie so much because it showed us in a different light. And I think the 90s had a special way of showing us different. I mean, we got the Juices and the Boys in the Hood, but then this also showed a light on um Black people that didn't live like that were successful, that had families, that were married. So it showed that particular living like a lot of us live that wasn't necessarily showcased on TV and especially movies. So this is why this movie was important to me because it had me something to look up to and look forward to. And then who knew that it would be The Best Man and then the third one and now that we're here. So were you guys first a fan of the franchise at the beginning. What did you guys think about that? And I'm going to add some of this because we are talking about first the original in '99. Were you guys a fan of it?
Absolutely. Shout out to Kim OC, by the way. Appreciate the comment. Yes, absolutely. And Courtney, you know that for sure. I was a definite fan early. In the '90s. During that time frame, I was a young adult. Through my high school and college time was in the '90s. And at that time, when The Best Man came out, man, it was a whole bunch of movies that was coming out at that time. Like you said, Brown Sugar and those different movies. But this movie here, absolute fan. It captured me immediately. There's a lot of things I could relate to, and these folks sort of portrayed my age group, if that makes sense. So, absolutely, yes, 100%.
Yeah, same here. Same here. When I saw it, man, it was a couple of years later, and you talking about an amazing film. And the writer Malcolm D. Lee, man, he's a hell of a writer, man. He's done a lot of great movies after The Best Man. I know The Best Man was like one of his original films that he wrote. So how he wrote it, and like I made a joke yesterday because me and Hawk were talking about this offline. I said, man, when I watched The Best Man, it reminded me of his age group at that time, right? In the '90s, always had a vibe to it when it came to black sitcoms, black movies. And The Best Man is part of that conglomerate of movies that you think about from the '90s. You're like, what black movies do you think about from the '90s? Like Boomerang, The Best Man, right? Love Jones, all those type of movies. So yes, The Best Man, and this particular series actually is making me want to go back to that original movie because I seen some things in there where I was like, okay, how Malcolm wrote this series makes you rethink the original Best Man, like some of the decisions that were made, right?
Right.
Yep.
I agree. And I think even with this particular movie, there's not a lot of movies, and I can say, even currently, that has me invested in the characters.
Right.
So with all of them, I literally was invested. I literally cared, and I wanted to know more about them. And even with this series, which we'll get to, I still want to know more.
Right. Exactly.
Like, I'm not over it.
Where's season 2 at, man? Where's season 2, man?
We don't have to call them up.
Yes.
Oh, and just sidebar, talking about the director with Lee. You know that's Spike Lee's cousin? Did y'all know that?
No, I did not know that.
Wow, no.
I know that.
That is his cousin. What a talented family they have. Yeah, I didn't know that, but it is. So,
okay. All right.
Yeah. So, we don't have to necessarily go back and talk about The Best Man, but just to kind of real quick, I put this together to know that The Best Man started off in 1999, and this is where we got introduced to the characters, and this was the big wedding of Lance Sullivan, who of course is a football player, and we got introduced to the wife and all the characters. And then after that, of course, we had The Best Man holiday. Now, this was a tearjerker to me. I know it was a lot of people because, again, we were invested in these characters. And then we saw a loss of Lance Sullivan and his wife. And so it was, like I said, all character development.
Right. Yeah.
And so now we have The Best Man final chapters, and we have them all coming together. So let's talk about that. First episode that we had, and it was an 8-episode series, and the first one was called Paradise. In Paradise, everyone was gathering for a whole new wedding. This wedding was, of course, with Quentin, and Quentin is a character played by Terrence Howard.
What's up,
and this is where everyone came together. There was questions in that first thing about Q and Q's character. What do you guys think about how he was portrayed then and how he was portrayed now? Anyone can go.
So his character, it to me changed, within the first few series of, the actual series itself. And, I was shocked, when I saw The Best Man Holiday, the movie, I was thinking he was going to get married to Shelby, right? I was like, oh, okay, all right, we got a spinoff. And you come to find out, he was ended up, wanting to marry Nicole Ari Parker's character. Her name was something weird, And so his character throughout, man, I was really shocked, in that first episode when I saw that, and looking at, I initially thought, I was like, well, that's not a really good matchup for him when you got someone that's completely changing the fabrics of who you are. It's like asking somebody for me to grow my hair into an afro. It's not gonna look right. So it's like, hey, accept me for me being bald and just roll with it, right? And so his character, I was shocked of how he changed from the movie. Wasn't smoking weed, wasn't doing wild things, and those things, initially, and on the first series of this series. And I was just like, wow. And so his character, he changed pretty well. He did a great job acting. You know what I mean? And changing his whole persona about himself.
Yeah.
He wasn't the same at all.
Right. So when I think of Q, man, from the first best man to now, Q is one of those guys. We got homeboys like this, right? Hawk, you probably got homeboys like this that they are into themselves. They're gonna do what they do. They're gonna want to do what they do when they want to do it, right?
Mhm.
And we know Q kind of messy. He's messy. You know what I mean? Q's very messy. He gonna tell you, hey man, I see you. I see what you're doing. And if you don't get it together, I'm gonna tell the homies, right?
Mhm.
And so from the best man, because it was really at the beginning of the best man original, when he's the one that kind of stirred up the pot with the book and everything.
He was an instigator.
He was the
He was,
instigator,
for
exactly.
sure.
He's
Right.
the one that said, "Hey, man, he wrote a book. He smashed your future wife. You better get his ass right."
Mhm.
And so then transition to the second movie, and him and Shelby. Of course, every time they get together, they have some type of chemistry and some type of bang session. So, like, like Hawks iterated in the series, I see somebody that's gotten older and somebody
Mhm.
that's trying to say, you know what, it's about time for me to kind of settle down and try to figure this thing out. And he was looking at the exterior of, and I forgot her character's name. Like you said, it was a weird name. Yes.
Zia
Yes.
Mora.
Zia Mora, yes.
More money.
And so you see that, you're like, man, she's beautiful. She's pretty. Even his dad was like, man, son, you hit the jackpot. She's beautiful. She's pretty. But then you have Shelby over here who knows you, who understands you, who knows, hey, I get you, Q. I love you, Q. I just don't know how to show it, but I love you. So from that first episode, I kind of knew. I said, you know what? This ain't gonna work. This is changing him, and he's gonna eventually snap out of it when he seen Shelby. And then when Shelby came to the resort, you know what happened. It kind of just, it's like a trigger. Like, man, this is who I need to be with.
Right. So the question that I have, because Tay Diggs, who was Harper, he knew that there was something going on when they was at the wedding. Not at the wedding, when they was preparing for the wedding. And Harper was like, there is something about this that's not right. Do you guys think that because he changed and apparently was changing for his soon to be new wife, is that a telltale sign for a man to say, hey, maybe this isn't the woman that I need because I'm having to change who I completely am? Is that a telltale sign that wouldn't work or shouldn't work? Or should a man be focused on marrying the one like Shelby that has known who you are, doesn't want to change you, and actually acts quite similar to you?
Go for it, Jacques.
So to answer your question, Courtney, you answered it perfectly. If you're going to sit there and try to change me as a man, you're not the one for me, right?
Mm.
If I come into this thing where it's me, and coming from Q's perspective, it's like I'm me. I drink, I smoke, I have a good time. Shelby matches my energy, right? When I have somebody trying to change me as just a whole human being, it can be for the good or it can be for the bad. But if I know somebody that, hey, she's here, she has my back, and she knows me, and she's not in here to change who I am, that's what I'm rocking with, right? So in that same breath, in that same scene, I knew. I said, man, this is not going to last. The one that he was supposed to be with, the fiance or whatever, she was this out of sight, out of worldly type of lady, and it was like, nah, this ain't it. So Harper knew, and we'll talk about Harper soon.
We're gonna get on him.
Gonna get on him. But yeah, that's for me. What about you, Hawk?
Oh, those are great points, Jacques. Facts, no paper. I would say this more than anything, man. So, what's the definition of better? What I mean is, Zia Mora, it might look like it changed him for better, but
Mhm.
what does that mean, right? With him not smoking weed or him not doing, what was it that he was doing illegal, if that makes sense, right? In the show. So I think more than anything, I think Shelby was the right fit for him because he is who he is. Shelby and him have a history together, and they have withstood a lot of time away from each other, but still being there for each other. I think actually Shelby made him better because even throughout the series, he began to be more into this business. He slowed down. She even helped to take care of him when he was having health issues. Those are to me are the definitions of better. Just because you've kind of been enlightened and on some global worldly stuff, that doesn't make you say better. So I think that I really don't even think it's close. That Zia Mora, there's some positives there or whatever, but Shelby was the right fit for him, and I mean, it showed in the movie, and then that's what happened. As a man, you want to, just like a woman, I'm sure too, but you want to feel comfortable. You want to be yourself. You don't want to be something that you're not, and you want to be in your natural state with your wife, in particular your wife. And if I like to go fishing, that's what I want to do. I don't want to stop fishing. You know what I'm saying? Hell, come with me and fish with me, right? And then there's gonna be things that she's gonna want to do as well too, and I should be vested in that as well at times as well too. So shout out to Shelby, man. Shout out, she held it down, man, for sure.
Yeah. You know what? I'll say this because even in the first one and the second one with Shelby, I was like on the fence about her. But I think with this series made me team Shelby. I really, really liked her. And then thinking about previous movies, Shelby gave you Shelby.
Right.
There wasn't anything about Shelby that she was trying to hide.
Thanks.
She was very superficial, wanted the limelight, but she didn't make no qualms about it. She was who she was, and you got what you got. But in the series, I thought it was interesting, and it was good to see the layers breaking down in Shelby. And I also want to talk about that a little later because I think even later in the series, I think she became more realistic as a woman.
Facts.
Yeah.
Facts.
Yeah.
Facts.
So,
because she did do some things underneath some layers that was questionable.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
So
she did.
what within the series?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I'm gonna say this too. I give Malcolm credit on the writing for that, right? From the beginning of the series to The Best Man 2, right? And how he wrote Shelby is almost like a redeeming arc. At the end of the series, she kind of redeemed herself, right? But like you said, Courtney, like where she kind of became, I would say, almost vulnerable at some sort after his heart attack happened, and she really, I feel like she really loved him after he had an instance where he had that heart attack, and I'm like, okay, this is the true Shelby that's coming out and showing that she really loves Q because he almost died. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay, so I have a question. So with Shelby's kind of attitude throughout the first one and then the holidays, and she was very what we would think of like Instagram model-esque, wanting to be the next Kim Kardashian, which a lot of men would say she's not wifey material.
Right.
But that kind of changed and she became a wife. And not only that, I think the series showed that she was actually a really good wife to what Terrence Howard or Quentin, what he needed. What do you think about women now looking at her or wanting that Shelby life? Can they be changed? Should they be looking up to a Shelby and be like, man, I mean, she was able to get a husband the type that I want. What do you think about her qualities and the type of woman that she is? Because in essence, that's a lot of women nowadays. She was able to get a man.
Yeah. Well, I think that she and Terrence Howard had a lot of advantages maybe versus women today out here. One, they've known each other for 20, 30 years. Okay. So it's not like a brand new man that's come along, right? He's wild, she's wild. So, two peas in a pod, as they say, right? I think for her, there was a redeeming quality in her that I don't think he realized, because there was a scene in the movie where she wasn't, prior to that conversation, he was like, "You don't even know me." And then that sparked the big conversation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, "Well, how come I don't know you?" He said, "You've only known me for sex, and you've never opened up that box." And once that box was open and they had that conversation, the connection and the electricity was already there, but the communication was not. And so that communication opened. Again, the advantage was they've known each other. This is not a brand new this is not a brand new relationship. Okay.
Right.
That's what the disadvantage would be, to say some woman is looking for a man, you just meet this person. They've already had this connection, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sexually, I guess weird, spiritually, just a lot of things. So I think more than anything, that conversation opened it up. Then that's when he realized, like, man, she's like really a good person. And there was many times in that she said, "I love you, and I can't live without you." And her actions showed that.
Mm-hmm.
It showed that. You know what I'm saying? And for a man, that's freaking huge.
Mm-hmm.
That's huge for a woman to say that to a man. It doesn't happen as often as people think, of women being open to their man like that. That puts a man in a melting pot. He will melt in your hands when he feels that you support him in that way. So because of that, he accepted how wild she was. I don't think she was out there screwing other dudes. She's just a wild individual, right? And so I think because they had their history and that communication opened up, that's what helped her and put her in advantage versus some woman that's like, "Hey, that's how I am. I want me a man." Well, you just met this dude. That's how he knows you. He knew her back in college, right?
True.
Yeah.
Yep. Nope, facts, no paper. I mean, you said it, and the energy. It's just that's what it is. Their energies match. Like they are damn near two of the same people. They're the same person. They're the same exact person, because Shelby can be messy too, right? She's a truth teller, just like
Yeah,
Q. Q was and he's out. That's why I say I give big shout out to Malcolm for writing those characters. It's almost like he's so smart, man. It's like he had a year, he had a plan. He said, "Okay, I'm gonna make 3 movies or a series, and I'm gonna make it to where these two are almost alike, literally in some instances." And that's what they are. Their energies are just alike. They're just the same people. And like Hawk said, that history there. If you got history and that history's there, eventually it's gonna kick off. It's just when it happens, right? But for random women these days, that are, because like you said, a lot of women are like Shelby. It's not gonna happen, man. It's like you trying to go out and get a Quentin. I don't know you. I'm gonna smash. That's about it. But other than that, you're not gonna be my wife. I mean, come on now. So
yeah.
Y'all smash that like button, by the way, too.
Yes,
while we're
sir.
at it, hit
Thank
that
you,
like
big
button.
bro.
Yes.
Okay, then we got on the first episode we got Lance. Now, Lance, in the Best Man holiday, we know that he lost his wife. And in this series, we learned that he has taken it extremely hard. And in the first episode and in the second episode, we found out how he was dealing with it. And he dealt with grief through using other women, particularly just banging them all, quite frankly.
Yeah.
I think that this movie was interesting because we don't see men particularly dealing with the grief of a spouse. And the ways that men deal with it, and sometimes is not dealing with it the correct way, but it is another way that men deal with it. Is this relatable to men as far as getting over a woman or dealing with grief? As far as with other women?
Yeah.
Hello.
Extremely relatable. Extremely relatable. Very relatable. And Jacques and I both, married. We're fathers as well and things. And so and more than just say that, his situation is relatable because I've never had a death of a spouse. So let me make that very clear.
Right.
What I'm saying is, when you have had a heartbreak and say you've done your best, you've been a really good man to a particular person. Every man deals with a heartbreak, and sometimes that either makes you a better man or worse of a man. It just depends on how you take it, right? So I related to that to say I've lost somebody, and so you do go through a phase. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying everybody does this, but I am saying you do go through a phase of like, I'm all about me right now because I've sacrificed so much for everybody. And at the end of the day, it throughout the whole movie, I think a lot of the men on this movie, especially Merch, sacrificed a lot
He
in
did.
general,
He
right?
did.
So, I think he was just in a phase of just trying to find himself. And a part of that is like, okay, I'm still young out here. I can still do my thing out here. So let me go on and bang these bras and do my thing, right? And, try to sort of work this thing out. And I'm not saying that's the best way to do it, but yes, that does happen. If you can, some men are able to do this, some men aren't. You know what I'm saying? Some
Yeah.
men fall in love with the first person that gives them attention. At the end of the day, what's missing is that female counterpart. And in his situation, he was a football player. Paul's good looking guy, so he's going to have that opportunity. So it's relatable
Yes.
because he's trying to find himself, and a part of a man is your masculinity, and that's hitting women, as far as getting with women and things like that. That's a part of it. It kind of builds into your ego.
Yep.
And he wants love. He just can't find it right now.
Mm-hmm.
That boy hurt.
Yep.
Some people have different ways of dealing with. Some people deal with alcohol. Some people deal with
Mhm.
drugs. His situation was sex.
6. Yep.
That's how he coped with it.
I
Yeah.
agree. I agree. Nope, I agree, Hawk. No, you're right. I coined the term MOB, right? Back in the day, money over you know what, after you go through a heartbreak or anything like that. And like you said, Hawk, it's literally how you deal with it. You see what I'm saying? And his way, and it's what 2013, from 2013 to now, whenever they did the show, because it's based off in reality today. He imagine how long, and you remember the homies was asking him, it's like, hey, Lance, are you using condoms? He was like, no. he kept lying about it. He said, yeah, 87% of the time. Well, 7% of the time. Well, 2% of the time. And I'm like, okay, yeah, he's hurt. And just looking at it, I'm like, nah, he's hurt. He's checked out. He's trying to figure out the next move. And yeah, it's related. This whole series was relatable. I'm just sitting there in shock. Like, I can relate to that. I can relate to that. I've been Lance before. Be honest with you. Yes, I have. I know a lot of men out there have been. Yes. Done it before. So no, I definitely.
Shout out to the dark skinned bald brothers, by the way.
Shout out, just like
Milk dud head. Right, let me shout out some of my super chats. What is going on? TJ Randolph, happy holidays. Greetings, everyone. Thank you so much. Uncle Stu, I saw you in here, and he was looking forward to this conversation because he had a lot to say about it. But he says, salute, supporting the stream, hanging with the grandson. I'll catch the replay. I appreciate you, Uncle Stu. All right, cool. So
great comments in the comment section, by the way.
Yes, sir.
For sure.
Yeah, some of them are saying he lost his purpose, and a man without purpose distracts himself.
And think about this, guys, too. He's retired from the NFL, so he has a lot of time on his hands. Remember, he was playing ball, and you lose your wife. Now you're not playing in the NFL. You don't know what to do with yourself. Like great comment, James. Hey,
that's right.
You lose your purpose. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. As a man needs purpose, and the older you get, especially your kids get older, and you starting to kind of see, man, within 5 years, my kid's gonna be out the house, and it's just gonna be me. I got to figure out what I'm trying to do here, and I think that was all a part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Yep. Okay. So then we also reintroduced to Miss Ania Long, who we've been talking about a lot, her personal issues that she's been going through. But in the movie, we have her, and we were introduced to her still being the strong, independent businesswoman. I got it together financially type. Again, in the movie, still no partner. Now, there was a guy that was introduced, and there was a scene that I thought was interesting. And this was a guy that she was sitting on, I guess maybe like sitting in a restaurant asking for some type of fish. The waiter said, we don't have that. We are out of it. Can we, get you something else? And she was adamant. No, I know the owner. I better get this or da 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 da. And then this young, handsome man came over to her and was like, you know what? I haven't ate mine. Do you want some of mine? And she was like, nah, I don't need yours. I can get it myself. I can do this and da 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 da. So in that interaction, it just reminded me of a lot of conversations that I think a lot of men have been having when trying to either talk to a woman, but the woman that they're talking to is this boss babe and I got it and I'm independent and I don't need you. Do you think that that might have been a turnoff to him?
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely, 100%, absolutely. Kind of
Mm-hmm.
like he's giving her a few opportunities, and she faded him, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
gets upset when he faded her eventually,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like that's how it feels. Men, we get rejected more than what women think. I don't care how
Yep.
we look, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Because in order for it to happen, it's normally us that got to shoot our shot, and so men sort of we get rejected so often. I mean, it sucks, but it's just how it is. But when it happens to a woman in that case, oh, she took it. Oh, she took offense to that, man.
She
That
did.
she had an attitude.
She
She
did.
had on her sunglasses. She was doing this to him,
Yeah.
like
She did. Yep.
doing that to him. I'm like, she was in her feelings, bro.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So yeah, I just think that. I mean, she. If I'm him, I'm looking at a single lady. I'm a single man. If I'm in the movie as a single man, I'm like,
Mhm.
hey, that's a nice looking chick. She's single. Hey, what's happening? I'm a good
Right.
looking dude. She's a good looking chick. Why not? Right? And she had attitude and just kind of like, it's cool, man.
Right.
Have a good day. I'll
Mm-hmm.
go on my own business, man. For real.
Right. Right.
Yep.
Right. 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 Exactly. And again, like you said, Courtney, she's a boss babe. She works for NBC. I think she,
Mm-hmm.
yep, she's working
MSNBC. Yep.
MSNBC.
MSNBC. She's this big marketing lady, and like her, she's up here. And like
Mm-hmm.
you said, she was salty. She was hella salty in that scene. And like you said, it's a huge turnoff. If I see that, if and how I am, I'm like, oh, okay, I can peep you early. Let me go ahead and exit to the
Yep.
left because it's
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
not worth it. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just yeah. It's more of like, okay, well, a man, a busy man, a man is about purpose. A man has a lot of things going on. The one thing they don't want to have in their life is negativity.
mhm.
That energy can really weigh you down and impact everything. So as soon as you feel that sort of vibe and you've given that chance, I've allowed myself to open up to you and you knock it down, then it's like, it wasn't meant to be. Have a nice day. I'm gonna keep
Right.
moving forward, man.
Yeah.
Yep.
I thought with Nia Long's character, which her name was Jordan in the movie, through each movie, the first one, the holiday, and then this one, being that she chose career over
Thanks.
family,
Mhm.
over relationships.
Yep.
Right.
And there seemingly in every movie was really kind of a good man that wanted to be in her life, that
Thanks.
were
Yep.
handsome and seemed to be successful, but she still completely chose career over that.
Yep.
And I think even in the movie and later on, we see that she might have had some regrets.
Absolutely. And what was the byproduct of her being this way? Her health, right? Her health was struggling.
Right. Yep.
And
Mhm.
it's crazy because when she was in those meetings, and I've had a lot of success in my career, and being in meetings like that, I was kind of like, I know she's tired of this meeting and continuing having to perform, and it's like at the end of the day, what do you have to show for it? You made a lot of
Right.
money, yeah, but
Mhm.
you have no husband, you have no children. I mean, what? At the end of the day, all you doing is making money, and that's it. That's
Mhm.
a lonely
Mhm.
life to live,
Yep.
and it
Mhm.
started to impact her health and to why she wanted to have the baby eventually. I think
Mhm.
it just dawned on her like, I wish I
Just
could have a baby. And Jacques,
Yep.
shout out to you. You and I discussed that. You brought that up. And I think that, that saddened her when she found out that she wasn't
Mhm.
pregnant,
Yep.
right? It's a
Mhm.
purpose driven situation that, she's not relationship material, if you ask me.
Right.
She's too
Mhm.
comfortable.
And how do you know how many women are there's a lot of women out there that's like her, right?
Yep.
And how many women do you know that sit in the car and cry like her when they found out they can't get pregnant or they want a family, but they're trying to put this hard, I'm this boss babe, I'm this, I'm that. And when she got in the car, she just bawled out because she thought she was having a baby. So again, this is a cautionary tale. Look at Jordan. Do you want to be Jordan? Because I mean, them in the show, they're probably, I think they're portrayed in their 40s, if I'm
Mhm.
if I'm
Yep.
Mhm.
correct.
Yep.
And so it's like, okay, they portrayed in their 40s and they were doing a lot of time jumping too. So eventually she was probably in her late 40s trying to have a baby and everything like that. It's too late, right?
Yeah.
So
Yep.
So, okay, two questions. Lo, what do you mean by she wasn't or isn't relationship material, wife material? Expand on that. On what do you mean by that, and
Yep.
what makes her different than Shelby?
hmm Well, one, I think that Nia Long was extremely messy throughout. I'm gonna call her by her character. Jordan was very
Jordan.
messy throughout the entire episode, and has been since the movies. Right? You know that Harper's a married man, and you know you continue to put yourself in a position to be flirty, to just sort of be around. You know, to me, that's a character flaw. It is like a real woman would know that man is married. I need to leave him alone. Maybe I don't even need to be around these married people like that. You know what I'm saying? In certain capacities. I need to, you know, we can be cool, but a real man, in my opinion, a real man doesn't have female friends like that. Right. You can't. Right. Because especially if you're attracted to them, you're putting yourself in fire. Just like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, Courtney. My best female friend and only real female friend is you, because you're my sister, mama, daddy, sister, completely, right? We're blood to the core, right? Okay. So, you know, so if I need some female advice in that regard, I'm gonna come chop it up with you. You know what I'm saying? Or my mom or whatever. My mom or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, to me, that's a character flaw, because it's like, okay, if I married you, like, you know, I would have trust issues with a Nia Long type, right? And then, you know, she's so invested in her career, and even not even within herself, you know, to be a caring mother, like, you got to take care of things. You can't just be focused on one thing. As a mother, as a wife, you got to wear different hats, just like a man being a husband and a father. I don't think she would be able to do that. So I'm not saying she's a bad person, but to be in a long-term relationships, I think she would be more focused on her career and about herself, kind of like how Harper is in a way. I know we'll talk about that.
Yeah, we're gonna get on him in a minute.
That avenue more than, say, being a caring, nurturing person, because she's fine. She make money. If she really wanted to be with somebody, she could have done it a long time ago. She's focused on her career, man. So
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I want to know what makes her different than Shelby, but this was an interesting comment, which is true. Yep. Notice she wasn't sad about lack of a husband, but not having a baby.
Facts, no paper.
Man, that's facts.
She was mad, and this is going in the series where she thought that she was pregnant.
Yep.
We didn't know who she could have been pregnant by, which we can talk about that a little later.
Man, see, that's another character flaw. You going raw dog on who? How many? Right. Relax, you know what I'm saying? Calm down, put the condom on. What are you doing?
Right. But, you know, she didn't care about the relationship or who. She just said, this might be my last chance of being a mom. But it was nothing about being a wife or even in a relationship. So I thought that was an interesting quote from her, but again, that's a lot of us. A lot of people are like, man, I have baby fever, but no man in sight.
Right. That's right. Well, Courtney, to answer the rest of your question about Shelby, what makes her different?
Yes.
Right. Okay. So I think the biggest difference is there was someone within the clique that Shelby loved. And so I think she took herself out of it to being so much of a selfish person to say, I really want to love a particular person. And that was Terrence Howard's character, Quentin, right? And she didn't have that, though she had Harper, but Harper was already married. So I don't know if Harper was not married, maybe they would have had the same type of connection, so to speak. So, you know, I think Shelby eventually was like, look, I'm tired of living like this, because she said, I enjoy being married. I wouldn't have got that character out of her in those first two movies, right?
Not at all.
Right. So I just think she's evolved and grown. I didn't see that from Jordan. Even at the end, it's kind of like you and Harper are single now. Y'all should be having a parade. You know what I'm saying? And she was like, I'm going to holler at you. Wow. He's talking about, I'm going to move to Brooklyn, get close to you. He's trying to get all, you know, trying to be all, you know, lovey-dovey music soul child ass. You know what I'm saying?
Maxwell.
Exactly. Maxwell going on, right? Face, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, so now you want to act a clown, but you wasn't acting like this when I was a married man. Then that's she got character flaws, man.
Well, Jordan's been like that since the first one, right?
Thanks.
Yeah.
When that's why I say shout out to Malcolm. She's been like that since the first movie. Like, literally, she came in, slept with Harper because she did sleep with him, right, and then left. And I'm like, hold on, okay. And like I was telling Hawk while we was offline, the compatibility is there. Like, Harper and Jordan, they understand each other. They could have been Shelby and Quentin, but Jordan is so focused on her career, and she's almost, let me get what I can get out you right now and then go, right? Let me get out what I can get out you and then go. And so it's always been like that since the first movie. And he's wrote it in a way where I don't expect her to get married at all. I expect her to continue to do what she was doing. all the way up to this series. I'm like, okay, that's Jordan. That's what she does. And if she was in the clique, I'm like, that's what she does. That she just messes around with people. She's focused on her career. She's not trying to get married. So Harper is seeing this in a way where he's like, man, I would love to be with Jordan, and I'm damn near willing to give it all away. But it's like a simp. It's like he's being a simp in some type of way. He just is able to get the draws. He slept with her before. Like, just it's crazy. I've never seen nothing like that before. I'm like, he's a simp, but he was able to smash, but still, she don't want to be with you. Like, so Jordan is just Jordan. That's how I look at Jordan. I've met females like Jordan before. Like, that's just Jordan. Like, she's just over there doing her thing. She ain't gonna never get married, but she's just having fun. So.
Right.
So when men say, you know, man, you're giving off this masculine energy, a man, I mean, you look like a woman, Nia Long, you know, Jordan, beautiful, but man, you giving off this masculine energy. Is that what they're speaking about when a woman that is giving off masculine energy, acting like a man, is that the quintessential what Jordan is?
Yeah, I'm not gonna say as from being just like, you know,
this rough masculine,
being rough, like, yo, go, you know, pick up the trash or something, right? Go get the trash out right now. Not like that.
She's
but
not
her overall aura is very masculine. Absolutely. Career oriented. I'm not saying a woman can't be career. You should be career oriented. But I'm saying is I'm putting my purpose over everything. You know what I'm saying? No matter what. And you know, she didn't seem to invite kindness and love in her spirit, you know what I'm saying, on the movie or even in the series, you know what I'm saying? And maybe she couldn't, but she had an opportunity at the end of the movie, you know what I'm saying? And she was like, nah, bro, I'ma holler at you. That's masculine. That's a masculine thought. Like, hey, bro, I'ma holler at you. That's what she told Tay Diggs. And Tay was like, damn, baby, my daughter's in Africa. My wife is gone. I'm here single. We have time, but you play me like this, right?
We go.
Her interactions are more transactional, right? She's more transactional when it comes to. If you look at all her interactions since The Best Man, it's more of a, hey, I'm here for business. I'm here more of a transaction. I'm not here to marry you. I'm not here to do this. I'm not here to do that. So if I was to meet a Jordan, I already know I'm finna smash and dip, right? This is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, Demetrius kind of, his character, man, was funny because he was trying to come back in after, I guess he'd been smashing it in college or whatever. And he was looking at it in a way like, hey, but Jordan has his guard up, like, ain't nobody getting right here. This is more transactional. I treat you like my career. I'm going to treat you as a business. Yeah. I'm going to treat you like this.
Well,
So
we're going to get
a quick thought on that too. Jacques, facts, no paper. So when women and guys too, when women get together, they talk, right? There was not one scene in the movie nor in this series where Jordan was asking the other women, how is it to be married, man?
Right.
We would love to have a family one day. She didn't say anything like that.
That is a good point. She did. Never has.
No, never has.
No.
If you wanted that, then that's what you would ask. You would ask those questions.
Right.
But also, you know, her friendship, her loyalty was just really to the men.
Facts.
Yep.
No paper.
You know, her loyalty was to the men. I think that she was close with Shelby. I think we saw the evolution of their friendship. But I don't really think that they were as close as maybe Shelby or even the other women wanted. I hear an echo. I put you on mute, Lorenzo. But I don't, her loyalty was completely to the men. And I think she aligned with the men a lot more than the women. But I don't know if, I don't see anything in her that was like, you know what, I want to settle down. I want to be a wife. She just wanted to be a boss. So there was a comment on here. Let me make sure I unmute. I believe the Jordan character wanted a relationship with Harper and sacrificed potential happiness with someone else because none of the guys were him. So let me talk about that because I believe that. I think, and we can get, she met a man. Well, a man was introduced to the movie. Let me bring him up. There we go. Demetrius. Now, Demetrius was the character that was in the series that Nia Long had a fling years ago, but apparently he hurt her hard years ago. He wanted to be back in her life, was telling her, we could take it slow, but I'm wanting to be with you. And I think that he genuinely wanted to be with her, went on beautiful dates, took the time, she would drop her off at home, nothing happened, being a gentleman, sweet, all that. But there was a scene on the New Year's where I think that he looked at her and also looked at Harper and was like, I kind of see what's going on. I think he knew that she had a thing for Harper. Did you guys see that or feel that way? That he kind of picked up on kind of the energy that she had for him? And maybe the other men that was in her life maybe saw that. Did you guys get that at all?
Well, that is a great observation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm echoing, by the way, too.
Yeah.
Am
Do
I
you have
echoing?
anything going on in the back?
Hey, Jacques, hit mute and see what happens on yours. Okay, is that better? Okay.
Yeah, that's
all right.
not
Okay, cool. So
just mute in between, you guys.
Yes, for sure. So that's a great observation. Absolutely. I think Demetrius was on to what, the vibe that they had, the guy that she was dating and in the Best Man Holiday.
Mm-hmm.
They all felt like a man knows, just like I'm sure women know, a man knows when he doesn't have a woman's full heart. Because if they did, they would act more like, say, Shelby or even Candace, right? When you have that full attention from your woman. And not one time did Jordan seem to have that, at all with any of those guys. It took her a long time. And I get Demetrius hurt her heart when they were 20 years old. I mean, that's a long time ago, right? And it still took a long time even for that. And then even in her situation that she had the guy that ended up breaking up with her, the white guy that she was dating. So yes, absolutely. I do feel like I don't have her all the way. And some men come to a point in their life. It's like, if you're not fully vested, then I'm gonna have to let you go. If I'm vested in you, right? And I think, she broke it up with Demetrius because Demetrius was doing some wild stuff, I'm saying, from an investment standpoint. But I do think that's why he made those comments in the club, because he had no other reason to do that. He felt like, yeah, bro, I know about you, dog. I'm sure she's had conversations with Demetrius about
Harper.
Harper, right? And he's like, oh, that's this Negro right here? All right, cool. Well, and then that's when he start throwing them jabs. So most men ain't gonna do that if they don't feel. So why would I do that as a man talking about
because and that's where I'm getting to, because there's a point in there where, he was taking shots at him just out the blue. And Harper's like, yeah, we got about to square up.
Right.
Why is he talking crazy? But because he knew.
Yep, exactly.
Because he knew.
And you notice when he was calling Nia Long while they were walking on the Brooklyn Bridge, Harper took her phone, saw the call, was like, you know what? Nah, man, you're not answering that, bro. There's a vibe issue between Harper and Demetrius for sure. Absolutely.
But I think he got in his feelings too after the movie premiere.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, guys, when the movie premiere happened, and I'm echoing. Hold on, guys. Hold on. Let me see something.
Yeah.
Am I echoing now?
No, you're fine.
Okay. Yeah, when he was in the movie premiere, and I think that they were looking at the movie, he found out too that they had slept with each other years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think when he got in the club, I think that's adding to that he knows the vibe that they were a thing. But it re-triggered something when he saw the movie. He was like, oh, damn. So they did sleep with each other. Oh, man. They do have something with each other. Damn. Okay. You know what? I can't keep doing this. I can't keep doing this. So I think the movie had a little bit to do with it, too, when they had the movie premiere. And he's seen it. And it was just like reassurance. Like, she told me they messed around, but now I actually get to see it in the movie. This is jacked up.
Yeah.
That's heat, Jacques. That's a fact, sir. Yeah, for sure. Like, okay. All right. Okay.
Let me go over these two comments because they're kind of similar, and I want to ask you a question after I go over them. So it said movies and breakfast. Jordan is the single type to not get married because she's focused on her career. She's competitive, and ideally her match would be too. That's why Harper was a better fit. And the other one is, thank you, Tanya. I think Jordan and Harper have the same energy to have a successful relationship. Harper and his wife have been polar opposites, pretty much, as seen from the bathtub scene from the first movie. Do you guys think that Harper and Jordan would have a successful marriage?
I would say yes. Because, and I told Lorenzo this offline.
Okay.
I told him, remember I told you this, Hawk, from the beginning of The Best Man, and like I said, I'm really going to go back and look at it in a different way now since the series came out. They're compatible. He knows her, she knows him. They know how they operate. When you listen to them talk, it's more of an intellectual business type style conversation versus how him and what's his wife's name? Sanaa Lathan. Damn, what's her name?
Robin.
Robin. When you listen to them talk, it's a two different style conversations. They're not compatible. But with those two, if they were to get together in the original Best Man, I could see more of a business relationship because they're more goal driven. They're more he's all about, hey, I got to get to next. It's just like they literally the same people. That's why I say Malcolm is cold because they're literally the same people. When I'm looking at this series, we're looking at the male version of this character and the female male version of this character.
That's
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so
that's a good point.
I'm looking at them. I'm like, it's the same damn person. You just a male and you a female. You both are selfish. You both on some BS. You both have a business mind. You guys are just career focused. I just see it. So in my opinion, yes, I think they would have been perfect together because they don't have to necessarily be there all the time to be around each other because, when you have a career like they do, you're constantly busy. You don't have time to really just be around your family like that. And honestly, I don't even think they would have had kids. That's my opinion about it.
Good point. What you think, Lo?
So I'm gonna put some different ingredients in the stew on this one. I actually think, I actually think they would have not worked out. I think, man, yes, they're two peas in a pod, both very career oriented. I think they would have dealt with some situations that he had, even with his wife Robin. There'd be times where he has to go out of town, and then she has to go out of town, and all these different things. I think, of course, they're very different. They have more electricity and more of a connection, yes. But I think it's more of a sex style connection, not so much a relational connection. There's a lot of people you can connect with sexually. It doesn't mean that's going to make the best relationship. You know what I'm saying? And so I think they would have been butting heads on a lot of things. I think that, apparently Harper wanted children. I don't know if Jordan would have wanted children. I don't know. In her career, time frame, I don't think she would have wanted children. Now, Harper, he didn't, at least if y'all think I'm wrong, please correct me. But when she was pregnant, I don't think he was mad about that. When Mia was born, his daughter Mia, he seemed to be very happy. Seemed to be a really good father, and he took time out for his child, and he made sacrifices for Robin 100%. But would have Jordan made those sacrifices for Harper? That I don't know. When you have two career-oriented alpha personalities, it doesn't mean that they will make a long-term relationship. Maybe a 4 or 5 year marriage type of deal. But eventually, you have to come together as a couple. And I don't think they would have. I think they sex would have been off the chain, probably going out doing things, romantic things. But the core value of marriage, I don't see it.
Yeah, I agree with you because I don't see any compromising that would ever come necessarily off Jordan. I don't see where it's both of them are wanting to be the pilot, but what situation where Jordan would be, okay, I'll sit back and I'll let you guide. Because again, in the series, she even stated, I've always been in control. All I know is control. So I'm like, well, you always want control. When would you be comfortable letting someone lead? And I didn't see that. Now, maybe she could have grown into that, especially when, when she found out that when she thought she was pregnant. And then when she left her job, maybe she was growing into understanding that what she's been doing is not what's been fulfilling. And maybe she does want to step away from the control, but Maybe. I
So
don't know. I can see it both ways because I did see her trying to scale it back a little bit when she walked away from the job and then found out she might have been pregnant. And she was like, man, I'm always in control. I want to feel like, what is it not to always be in control?
and listen to what she said at the end too. She said, "You don't know, our paths might cross later down in the line. We
Yeah.
might cross again." So again, I don't know if it's going to be a season 2, but if it is a season 2, I can see the writing being written in a way where they come together at a later stage in their life. Because
Right.
great points from both of y'all. But later,
Mhm.
if I'm looking at the series now, and if I'm writing a season 2, you're at a later stage of your life. You're in a different stage to the point like you iterated, Courtney. The pregnancy thing made her kind of open her eyes, and now she's doing the self-care thing. I think that's why she stepped away from the job.
Right.
And when she says our paths might cross later on, you need to be by yourself for a couple of years and then we can come back together. It wouldn't surprise me if they wrote it in a way where those two eventually come back together and they come together in season 2. I haven't heard if there's going to be a season 2, but just hypothetically speaking, if it was a season 2.
Well,
Right.
I don't know. You know, Terrence Howard just came out saying that he's retired. He said that he's retired of acting. He doesn't want to act anymore. So if it comes about, you know, it might not be a Terrence. And I love his character.
Yeah,
That's my
cute.
guy.
Tom Brady said the same thing.
He did.
So when that green money come out, you know, when the numbers come down and they say, hey, you might be retired, that's cool and all. But just like in his role in the movie, right? When them folks came up and said, hey, this is a check we're gonna write you, bro, to stop what you're doing right now. Here you go. What did he say? He was like, yeah, I'm going ahead and consider that.
Yep.
So he
Yeah.
might be playing his role in real life at some point, man.
Yeah. I got you. All right. So let's talk about relationships. And then, you know, we talked about Shelby, who, like I said, she turned out to be one of my faves in the series. I just loved her candor, and I think she evolved a lot too. The wedding of her and Quentin was something that I thought was surprising, but the surprising part, and I think Lorenzo, we talked about this, was when she popped up on the island before Terrence Howard Quentin was about to get married, and she said, I'm going to come and I'm about to fight and get my man. She did not care. There was the scene where they brought the strippers in again, like they did on the first time. I don't know if you remember. Oh man, when they brought the strippers in on the first time and then they brought them in this time, they said the exact same thing in the movie. What did Mert say? Let the games begin, or y'all remember that part? It was just never mind.
Yeah.
So he brought the strippers in, and then she came out and stripped for him, and he was like, thank you. And I think that kind of sparked where he was like, you know what, I can't let her go. Yeah. And before he could say that, they was trying to meet up, and she texted him, hey, meet me at 1:00 in the morning because I really still want you, and I know that you want me. You better say you want me. And then she was met up with the new fiance. And then Tay Diggs popping up and telling her, you're embarrassing yourself. And the fiance told her she needs to go because she is the chosen one and he didn't choose her. Then she leaves. And then who comes running after her? Quentin. Start begging on 2 knees. Baby, I love you. They're dynamic, interesting, quirky, weird. But yet I think it worked. And I think it worked for me. And I talked to you about this, Lorenzo. It's because both of them in this series had a time where they were willing to embarrass themselves for each other. Both of them had a time in the movie where I don't care about what anybody says. I want him and I want her. And it doesn't matter how I look because I know what I want. What do you guys have to say about their dynamic? The scene where she's making a fool out of herself. Tay Diggs, Harper said, you are making a complete fool out of yourself. She said, I don't care. And then he's begging on 2 knees at the airport. Baby, baby, please.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
That's a sign of love, man. Real love, for real. When you really do love somebody, you don't give a damn, right? And especially if you feel
Mm,
like you're losing them, you do whatever it is to make that thing happen, to make it work.
mhm.
And I think that's what happened there. I think the stripping scene wasn't interesting. You saw even his boys are like, damn, dog, damn, bro.
Right.
His homeboys probably elbowing him like, I see you, bro. I see you,
Bruh.
bro. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just kidding, but you know what I mean. But um, I just think the fact that she came down there and it was a lot of unresolved and unfinished issues or situations with them. It didn't end like just completely done, right? It was still
Mhm.
sort of open. And in the midst of that, probably because of pride, and she's probably doing her thing, he's doing his thing, and all that. He ended up meeting with Ziamora, and he's just like, "Well, I'm just gonna go with this. This is the option for today. Let me just go with this." And then come to find out, like, dang, she's fine, and we have a decent connection and all those things. But he still hadn't finished that issue with Shelby. And then
Mhm.
Shelby coming in, I don't think he would have married Zia Moore if it wasn't for Shelby coming overseas to visit him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's almost like not to be so spiritual, but it was kind of like a spiritual thing that sort of happened with them to say, God's kind of like, hey, Shelby, you need to go and take your tail on over there and get this
Mhm.
situation done, or whatever it's going to be. So Shelby looked at it as sort of a last ditch effort to say, I really want to be with this guy. And so that's what she went through all these situations. I'm echoing, by the way, too.
Yeah. Make sure you mute in between.
Yeah, yeah. So
Uh-huh.
I think she was like, "Hey, I'm gonna do all that I can, regardless." And what's so crazy? Zia Moore allowed it to happen. She
Yeah.
played a part of this too. Zia Moore's like, "Well, if you want to go put two balls in your mouth, pause, go do that," and that's what she did. She
Yeah.
did, right? He's like, "Okay, all right, okay," and then all of that they didn't help Zia Moore out. You know what I'm saying? So that made the connection even more. He's like, "Man, like, this is a special connection." You know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
so yeah, I just think that the relationship that they have, and for her doing that really elevated. If a man sees a woman doing anything like that, it don't take much. Well, if we love that woman and she shows that type of energy, that goes a long way. And that's why he dumped Zia Moore. Like, bruh, I'm gonna holler at you, man. She put in the effort. This is my lady right here. Hey, you can burn the house down and throw the sage while
And
you at it. It's all good. I'm
she
gonna
did a
holler at you.
wait next hell.
She did. She
Angela
did.
Bassett. She burned that. She did a left eye Lisa Lopez on
She
that
did. She
hut.
did. She did. She
Yeah.
did, man. She did.
I look at it as passing time, right? They've both been passing time since the first movie. You
Mhm.
see what I'm saying? And I've been in that situation, just passing time until I see the one. I'm like, damn, she's the one. I just don't know when she's gonna be the one, but she's gonna be the
Mhm.
one. And I just look at it in this situation. I'm like, Q is just passing time. He slept with her on several occasions. They have a connection because they're mean to each other. They throw jabs at each other.
Right.
They've always been doing that since the first movie. And you when that happens, you like, okay, y'all got a thing for each other, but it just ain't the right time for it to kind of just reveal itself. And I think with both of them being older, and they're like, look, and I think with Shelby, it kind of clicked when she found because when she found out he was getting engaged and he was engaged, she was pissed on I guess the Real Housewives or whatever.
Oh, she went off.
She was ticked. She was pissed. And at that point in time, I said, okay, she really, really loves him. She's just buying her time. So I just look at it, and like you said, Hawk, the spiritual part of it. But I'm gonna add to that. It's just passing time. And they're
Mhm.
just roadblockers right now. Okay, hey, now we're here. So I like I said, I think out of all the couples and the characters, those two I'm happy for. I'm like, you two, I'm happy for. I'm finally happy you guys did what you did. Now, some messed up stuff did happen where I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, her daughter is
Yeah.
Q's daughter. Yes.
That's
Okay. So
messed
let's
up.
bring it
It's,
back. So, because I was about to bring it up. So, thank you for saying that. So, even though they got all together and all this relationship and they got married and blah 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 blah, something that they didn't expand on that I wish that they would have was understanding or realizing that Shelby's daughter um was actually Quentin's. And once he found that out, like I said, she was a whole teenager. He was in her life here and there, but not seriously because he had no idea that was his child. And
facts.
she said it so nonchalantly, like, hey, yeah, this is your child. He was like, oh, but then what? I didn't see any emotions. Like,
No.
well, shouldn't he been pissed?
Yes.
Like
Yep.
they didn't expand on that.
Nope.
So, what are you guys thought? And what does that show maybe about Shelby's character that you were willing to mess around with a man for 15 years, have your child around him, and not tell him like that?
Yep. It's foul.
That was
Yeah,
foul.
very foul. And that's what I was saying earlier. Hey, I know people really high on Shelby and all, and that's cool, but hey, that boy Harper put her in her place when she was talking about, women just know the rights for their kids. They're gonna always be there. Harper's like, hold up for a minute, bro. Hold up, dog. No, that's not
Yeah,
always true. Like, you held this man away from his child for this long, and then when they broke the news, like you said, like, Quentin was kind of like, oh, okay, cool. What? We would be having a conversation. Hey, y'all, I'm gonna holler at y'all. We're gonna go back to this room. We gotta talk. We got a huge talk that we're gonna
that's
have
an
to do here, right?
issue.
I will pull her off. We having a talk. We not on the beach. We in the room. We having a sit down. So
Yeah.
I thought it was very foul. And one thing that people might not notice, of course, you notice that the daughter wasn't calling him dad, right? The whole movie until he almost died. But she sure was calling his father grandpa throughout the movie. So,
which I thought was interesting.
is it so? If I'm Q, I'm like, hey, bro, I need to talk to you too. Like, let's go to your bedroom. Let's sit down and talk. So, what is this? Like, I'm your father. This is what it's gonna be. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's because of the situation was nothing on my fault. I didn't know I was not. I didn't know this situation until now. I'm your father. I'm buying you these Birkin bags and all this stuff. I need some respect around here. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And Jacques, to your point, I'm gonna give you credit for this. There was many situations in this movie where there was a lot of lack of respect for men. And we'll get to that, I'm sure. There's a lot of lack of respect for men in this movie, more than what people might perceive. But
Okay. We're gonna get to that.
Yeah.
Now
Grandpa,
also,
hey Grandpa, huh? What'd you call him?
yeah, she was
Hey,
calling him
what'd you say?
grandpa and then was calling him Q and
Right,
Quint.
like, yeah.
Yeah. So now also in the beginning episodes is where we started kind of looking at Sanaa Lathan, also known as Robin. Now, in those episodes, when she was visiting the island during the wedding, you saw her kind of separate herself from the group. She was in her chair getting her zen on and talking to herself and Mother Earth. She was doing going out meeting new people on the island, wanting to cook with some random woman. Even they was on a yacht and she decided just to jump off the yacht randomly and everyone looked at her and that was maybe her sense of feeling free. But you saw Robin starting to isolate herself from the group and starting to focus on where she wanted to be and what made her comfortable, and her even telling Tay Diggs, her husband Harper, hey, what if we leave the States and live here on the island where we feel closer and I feel closer to nature and cooking and blah, 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 blah. Did you guys feel that she was separating herself from everyone and maybe becoming into what she already was?
Yes. And great observation, Courtney, because I noticed that too. I was like, why is she acting all zenful and I looked at it almost as like self-care, quote unquote. But then I was as the series started going along, I said, what's going on with her? Like, she's literally, like you said, separating us. That's a great that's a hell of an observation. What you just said. I mean, facts, no paper. And I never thought about it like that. But she was literally just separating herself to the point where I'm more in tune with nature. I want to be in Africa. I want to be around my people and this. And the group is not like that. The group is successful. The group is elevated. The group is, hey, we're all about this. And as she's separating herself, she's almost to the point where you're separating yourself not just from the group, but of course we've seen ultimately from Tay Diggs as well, right? And I'm looking at this, and at first I didn't think too much into it, but then I started looking at her character and just listening to certain things that she was saying. I was like, okay, I'm Robin, I'm not really rocking with you like that. And even in the first movie with Robin was she was quiet, right? She was quiet, she was cool. But again, the vibe, I'm like, something is off with you. I don't know what is off with you. So that's a hell of an observation. Yes, I felt like she was definitely separating herself, not just from the group, she was getting ready to separate. I think she had checked out a long time ago from Tate Diggs, and it would be nice to kind of explore something in between from 2013 to now, like a
Yeah.
mini series to see their relationship. But yes, I definitely, you can tell she's checked out.
Checked out. Yeah. What you
Yeah,
got, Lo?
yeah, agreed. Yeah, she has, and yeah, because there was several scenes in the movie where she was not around. Like, they had their holistic situation with Zia Moore. She wasn't there, right? She was on the beach walking by herself. That she met with the lady there that was cooking food. For a second, I was kind of like, is that going somewhere? Right? It's like,
I thought it was
you
about to be a
vibing with this chick?
relationship. It was coming off very
It was.
gay.
It was very
Because
much
she was
so.
separating herself from the group, and then all of a sudden was going shopping with this random woman and
Yep.
wanting to cook. And the random woman was like, taste this, and feeding her
Yep.
food.
Exactly.
And I was like, it's not your right?
Yep. then she had, she was talking to the one guy, the produce guy, right? He was sitting there doing his lips all like this, and she was sitting there all googly eyed and things like, okay, you know what I mean? So, her character in the movie was very standoffish. I understand that, Harper did some stuff. He did some things that sort of put him in this situation. I get that. I do. But I will say that about 80% of the movie, Robin was disconnected with everybody. And her energy never changed. It never was positive. And even at times that, when he got onto her about having her daughter out in the mist in Harlem of, when she got arrested, he had every right to be upset. He said, hey, don't put my daughter in that situation. You know what she was doing? She was throwing jabs at him personally. And I was like, see, that's kind of weak. That's what people who can't expound or take accountability, that's what they do. When you're telling them right, they're going to throw jabs at. She was talking about you, damn near like an Uncle Tom, you pompous this or whatever. He was like, I'm just telling you, don't have my daughter. She was like, don't tell me what to do or whatever. I say, see, I was like, that's wild to me, right? And her whole character was very standoffish. And I've talked to some people, in particular women, who actually felt why Sanaa Lathan was like that in this movie, in her character. And I say, I get it. I'm sure a lot of women probably feel Robin and probably look more at Harper as the bad guy between the two in the relationship. But Harper did try, even in going to counseling and those things, right? And then Harper did some foul stuff at the end of the movie. Don't get me wrong. Very foul. Probably more foul than what she's done. But she played a part in their demise, for sure.
Yeah.
I didn't like her character wasn't uplifting at all. I'm sure in real life, people around would be like, hey, bro, she all right, dog. Like, every time we go out, bro, she got an attitude, dog. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, bro, she need to stay on home, dog. Eat some crackers and watch TV or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do want to give one criticism to the writing on that. There was a lot of instances in this show where things wasn't closed. So what I mean by that, like you said, that interaction with the lady on the beach, we didn't even revisit that. The guy at the stand, the African dude or whatever he was to her, they had a thing going on. And when I seen her interaction and Merch's wife was with her, she was like, oh, I see why you come to the market all the time. Yeah. This guy, Tobias, I think. Yeah. Him,
Yeah.
Jaha. And so when you write, you didn't want it to revisit this. And I think they did that on purpose to kind of redeem that particular character. But at the end of the day, I'm like, that I can criticize you on writing on that part from Malcolm. It's like, hey, we visited this, but we didn't finish it. Like, what was the outcome? Did she still pursue him? Were they still a thing? Did they mess around? We don't know.
Yeah. I think I wanted some more in depth with this because, then you saw that he awakened something in her. So while she was separating herself from everyone, she was getting closer and something was awry. And even she said it that, he brings this to me and all this life and blah, blah, blah. And, he was helping her find a place for her restaurant and bringing her kid over there. And he playing with a child. And then, Harper's gone out of town and it's freezing in her house. And he's coming over there bringing her blankets. And so he was, kind of a substitute with what she was missing, I guess, from her husband. But then he just went away. So we don't know necessarily what happened to him. So I would have liked a little bit more on that, but let me go to a couple of comments and I want to get you guys opinion on it. Let me see. There was one here by Queen Fab. Robin never identified with the group. She decided to tap into who she was as a person, and this simplistic life is where she found her happiness. And there was another one.
There's some truth to that. At least I thought
Mhm.
that until she wanted to move to Ghana. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Yeah, she wanted the simple life. Cool, I get that. Then all of a sudden I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna holler at you. That is really going far left. You know, so
Mhm.
I agree to a certain degree.
Okay.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
This one. She was being what Harper wanted her to be. He never fully wanted her. Think about the first movie. He was hesitant to commit to her. He always wanted Jordan.
That's some truth. That is
So
some truth to that.
now the not to cut you off, but the conversation that we had yesterday about, I don't believe that Robin was Harper's first choice at all.
Right.
She became second. And I think Harper wanted her because he wanted to focus on his career, but yet still wanting to have a family like any man. And she made herself 100% available to him.
Yeah.
So what he needed, you wanted a family, you want me to stay at home and cook, blah, 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 blah. So she became that to him, something that he could never get from Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
And then her dynamic changed when she started to want more from her life than just being a wife, just being a mother. She wanted to be successful as well, too. And obviously she wanted to be a freedom fighter. So I was like, well, she's Angela Davis up in here. Okay, I got you. So, but that dynamic and that change in Robin, shouldn't that be expected for a woman to want more than to be just a wife and mother? Should that be expected that a man and a husband should know that that woman also wants to have an identity besides those two titles?
Right. Yeah, I think so. Harper did drop the ball a lot in this movie. I mean, in these series, and even in the movie, for sure. Right. And no, she was not his first choice, for sure.
Mhm.
And does that mean you divorce? I would probably challenge that notion.
Mhm.
Right. I would just
Mhm.
say that they did go to counseling and those things, and I felt that they were trying to work on it. Even the day that she had her situation, they did compromise. She went to support him, and he left his place, his situation, to go support her. It's fine what he did at the end, but I felt that they were at least trying at some point, even though she
Mhm.
was trying to, sort of check out or whatever. So, I find it funny too, like where he wanted to move to Manhattan, right? And he gave her time. He wanted to move just like that, right? And she was like, "Well,
Yeah.
I need time." She didn't seem to be invested in it. And I get that she wanted to stay in Harlem. I get it. But on
Mhm.
the flip side, when she wanted to get this restaurant, she wanted him to make this quick decision. And when he didn't, what did she do? She was like, "See, that's what I'm saying," or blah 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 blah, right? So
Yeah.
it's kind of, they both were sort of playing tug of war, and I do think Harper was more at fault. Him moving to Ghana, I don't think would have been a bad thing, because he's not
Mm.
working in an office building. He
Mhm.
he could have made that sacrifice for her to say, "Hey, this is a hell of a sacrifice." Now, she throughout the movie wasn't being very fickle. There were times where they would do something that she wanted. She didn't give a lot of energy to it, and then it's like, now you want me to invest in a big building? It's probably $800,000, and then you would have if you change your mind. Then now we're in a hole, right? So it's probably why he felt a certain way about it. But to move, I don't really think would have been a bad situation given their circumstances,
Mhm.
honestly.
Okay.
Again, and this goes back to compromise. When you marry, it's a compromise, right? And transparency. So to add to that, even when they was in counseling, when they went to therapy, when she was expressing herself and pouring her heart out and saying, "Hey, you don't listen to this, you don't listen to my opinion, this," and Harper was like, "Well, I feel attacked," and I'm looking at Harper, I'm like, okay, I get that, because Harper's very selfish. We know that he's a selfish person.
Mhm.
He's been selfish since the first movie. Okay, we get that. But in Harper's mind, Harper's like, "Hey, I want to make sure we have the best for our family. I want to make sure you have the best." But again, it's so much miscommunication and no transparency from both ends. And even with her, even with the house situation, she almost was like, "Can you read my body language, knowing good well I don't want to move here?" I can't read you. I don't read minds. Can you tell me, is this, what do you want to do? Right. And again, she kind of like, okay, what we're going to do what you want to do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So when I look at those two, and somebody said in the comments, they were like, hey, he didn't want her from the beginning. And it's true.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He didn't want to give her from the beginning. He didn't want it from the beginning. And you can see that in the best man. That's why I said him and Jordan, when I was looking at the first movie, I'm like, their connection, you could tell they want each other.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's like he settled. He's like, oh, like you said, Hawk, I just want a family. I want a child. And I'm going to settle with this. And she was willing to do that for the first maybe 5-6 years.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And then everything starts shifting and changing. Even looking at the thumbnail, Courtney, if you look at the thumbnail, how they have the thumbnail set up, and this is an observation, look how she's looking at Harper in the thumbnail. Look how she's looking at him.
You like, you MF, you son of a.
Yeah. Look how she's looking at it. So that's an indicator. I look at small things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, look at that. That's a MacGuffin. That's telling me, hey, this ain't gonna go right, right?
Yeah.
So that's my observation.
Yeah.
And real quick, shout out to James Penn, because she did have an inappropriate relationship with that guy for sure,
Mm-hmm.
and that was an influence. I don't care what no one says, and some people might be like, "Well, they didn't do nothing. They went to his house." Man, you bringing another man in your house around your daughter, right? And there is at least an attraction there. That's not cool. That's how things start. Let's not be dumb and gullible in that regard, right? That's how things start. You know what I'm saying? And so,
Yeah.
It's.
I'm gonna add to that, Hawk. When they went to go see the building, and she had her daughter with them, all three of them, and that kind of pissed me off. I was like, hold on, you two can go see the building, but why do you have to bring your daughter around him, a random dude that you don't know from a can of paint, and he's real comfortable behind the daughter too. I'm like, hold on.
He was real comfortable, picking her up and dropping her on the bar and hey baby and hugging her. He was very
putting her head on together,
as if he's been around her before.
Exactly, facts. And I'm sure it would have been cool as hell if when they were having dinner with his wife and his daughter be like, "Hey, mommy, who was that man that was at our place the other day?" Ooh, that would have been some smoke, right? If his daughter just innocently said that, right? It'd have been a Best Man 3 then. You know what I'm saying? If that happened, for sure.
The Best Man 3.
Yeah, for sure. And then, to Robin's point, she probably wanted to leave the country to get away from the mess. Get away from Jordan.
She wanted to separate. I noticed that. I think that she always played a third wheel to the group. She wasn't a part of the group. She didn't grow up with them. She didn't know what happened in college. All she knew is that she loved Harper.
Facts.
But I don't think that she was never really integrated in the group because again, the group was men. In order to be integrated, it would have had to be through Jordan.
Yeah.
And there is nowhere in the world that they would have been close. They played it all good. I say that. They was very cordial.
Yeah, they were.
But in the back of each other's heads, they knew what was up.
That's right.
Robin knew that her man still loved her. And Jordan knew that it was going to be eventually come a time where your man about to get weak. I think Jordan already knew. And she's always wanted him. I think she tried to hold it off and be nice.
Yeah.
But she couldn't hold it off any longer in the movie. Now, could she?
Yeah. That's right.
Before we continue
Jacques, you got me laughing, dude. Jacques got me laughing on that one, dog. Damn, you comfortable around my daughter, ain't you? God, go ahead, Courtney. I'm sorry. That's hilarious, man. God.
Let me shout out. What is going on, Marcus? It was always good to see you, Marcus. What up, Court? Shout out to the gentleman. Thank you so very much.
Appreciate it, Marcus. Our brother's name, ironically, right, Courtney?
Facts.
Yeah.
Paper. Merch, Julian. I loved his character. I loved his character because he is and has been, I think, one of the most consistent.
Facts.
Okay. He has been the most consistent man, I think, in the movies. But this series, we saw a fighter in him. Who knew that the merch would be into MMA and fight and be good? Who knew? And let's talk about the situation too. So I want to talk about him becoming a fighter, being great, whooping ass, but then also talk about how he had to scale that back in the taxi cab scene when him and his daughters was trying to get in the cab and the white woman came in with her dog. This is mine. The whole Karen situation.
Man. Whew.
And the police came and he decided to let it go. Now I know that he was still upset because he got flashbacks, but however, the dichotomy I think was interesting how he was able to reserve and hold himself back from something that was being done to him, which was an injustice. However, when that MMA came into that fight mode, he was a whole entire beast. Who is Merch? Who is this character? Were you guys surprised that this man could probably beat up everybody on the show?
Yes. Okay. So when I see Merch has been disrespected, man, since the beginning, since the first movie, right? Mm-hmm. He's been the punch, and he even said it in the show. Merch. I see somebody that's sick and tired of being a nice guy. Mm-hmm. He's the epitome of the nice guy. Even how he even met his wife, right? And how he was betrayed in the movie was jacked up on Harper's perspective as well. Because I'm like, Harper, bro, you portrayed this man as a weak pushover, right? And I seen the situation with the Karen. I think to me in the series, that was the breaking point, was the Karen situation where he got embarrassed in front of his daughters, right? His daughters are looking at him like, hey, Daddy, are you going to do anything? Are you going to say anything? Why do we got to give up the cab, right? And he's like, okay, for me to save my life, for me to make sure we're straight, I'm going to live to fight another day, right? Mm-hmm. And when I looked at it, I'm like, okay, I see somebody that's pissed off and disrespected. Not only was he disrespected in that situation, but also his kids was disrespecting him, right? I don't think people really noticed that, of how they were talking to him and everything like that. Even his wife sort of was disrespecting. I think he wasn't getting any sex. He wasn't getting sex at all. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think, yeah, okay, I was right. Okay, exactly. So I see somebody that's fed up and somebody's looking for an out and a purpose. And he said, you know what? I'm going to do MMA. Now, I didn't expect the MMA part of him fighting. That kind of threw me off a little bit. I didn't know bro can fight. I was like, okay, bro's pretty fight. But I see somebody that's fed up, that's tired of being disrespected by everybody in the group. And he took it back. And I like this comment.
I do too.
I like this comment.
Let me read this. Merch anger was internal and he took it out externally prior to getting it under control. Yep. Very Will Smith-like.
Yep. But that's how Will Smith should have handled it. like Merch. I mean, I get it, but Merch, if I was looking at an example, Merch handled it correctly. And I think him and his wife were my favorite characters because of how Merch, I think he had a redemption about him. And he kind of got the last laugh, and he was able to say, hey, I'm tired of the disrespect. I'm tired of y'all messing with me. All right. So this is how we're going to handle it. And I'm going to take back my manhood, because you go back to the first movie. I mean, he was a pushover, man.
Yeah.
He was a big pushover. I mean, you can kind of slap Merch around and he ain't going to do nothing.
That's true. What you got, Lo?
Very true. Very true. So, Jacques, to your point, you and I discussed this. For some reason, I like Merch and Candace's relationship or marriage as well. For some reason, they had the most authentic relationship. And they went through different storms, different norms. And, I think for Merch sacrificed a lot, okay? And he was having to be Dr. Mom, Dad, I guess at some point, right? When she was, writing her papers and those things. He held his tongue so much throughout the entire series, even in the movie. I know it's like Merch, I feel you, bro. I know, man. And as a black man, so many times, all the time, we have to hold our anger. And it's right. Like the things are being displayed or said, he's correct, but he can't say nothing. He was in the cab first. That was for him, right? And then, if anything, I probably would have elbowed the dog while I was sitting down. I would have kicked the dog.
Kicked the dog.
And then walked out, like, all right, cool. At least I got that in. At least I got a jab in, right? I got one jab in, right? No, I'm just kidding. But I am saying that, Merch's character is the epitome of a black man trying to do right. When you're being challenged so much externally, even internally, with a lot of different situations with the world, relationships, people in general. Because anything that you say always comes against you, no matter what you do. If he'd have said anything, if his level of voice would have went up, the police would have came up and arrested this joker. You know what I'm saying? And even when the police did come through, they listened to her and not him. He had to, again, back off in front of his children. No man wants to be fronted in front of their kids like that, like they some punk. So I get he went through a midlife crisis on like, I've been dealing with this my whole life. And even he didn't even want to watch the movie because even on the movie, he was carrying Shelby's bags and backpacks and stuff like that in the movie. It's like, I'm getting tired of look like this because that's not who I am. I'm just holding this in for the better good of peace. And sometimes it's like that, right? So Murch's character, I really related to him in a lot of ways, like because he's a black man just trying to do right. And he was like, I got to find a way to get this anger out. And he took the MMA route. I was shocked, like you said, Jacques, but it worked for him. And he was successful in it because even the guy was like, dude, you got a lot of anger, bro. Like this MMA thing, even though you're almost 50 years old, this MMA thing could work for you, bro.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, cool. And he started kicking ass on the movie. You know what I mean? And I thought the coolest scene.
I know what you're about to say, but before you say that,
okay,
let me ask a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So I loved Murch and Candace relationship. And let me bring her picture up to talk about her.
Okay.
Where's she at? There we go.
She went from a stripper to a wife. Right? We talk about
okay, why people okay. I mean, apparently you can turn a hoe into a housewife.
I guess so.
Okay. This is okay.
Yeah.
So, but I love their dynamic that they had. I thought it was one of the most genuine relationships in the series.
Facts.
However, I find it quite peculiar that when she was going through her episode with her professor, where is that man at? I got him.
I hear the anger in your voice, Courtney. I hear it. I hear it.
And while he was trying to push up on her and was assaulting her, grabbing on her boobs, she didn't tell her husband.
Yep.
And then when he was doing the MMA and fighting, he didn't tell his wife. They kept those two important situations in their life separate from each other, but it seemed like they were a couple that could discuss and talk about anything.
Facts.
Why is it you think, out of them being so sweet and loving and how they are, why these two most important things that's going on in their life events, they didn't want to tell each other? Why is that?
I think that they wanted to both seem like the best spouse possible. And I don't think they wanted to, I just think they was like, I'm working as hard as I can to be the best husband or wife. And he's like, I know I'm not supposed to be doing this stuff, right? Or even her situation, like, she was, was going there late at night and things like that or whatever like that. It's kind of like, ooh, be careful, right? And when he was getting close to us, like, oh my gosh, please don't do that, dude.
Yeah.
And he did us like, golly. So she probably felt guilty that Murch is sitting there being Dr. Mom, you know what I'm saying, raising the kids damn near by himself. And she probably felt, though, that she probably put that on herself, putting herself in that situation. And it sucks that it's like that. You know what I'm saying? So she probably just felt guilty early. But then was kind of like, you know what? I got to scratch this. This happened to me. You know what I'm saying? This is, it sucks that the doctor or the professor is the pig. And he is the pig. You know what I'm saying? For sure, right? And for her, probably didn't want to get Murch upset. Just trying to keep him from being upset. And he probably didn't tell her about his situation. He didn't want her to be, frustrated or being concerned. I think they were just looking out for each other. That's all. Just didn't want them to get to a certain level and just keeping the peace. And sometimes people do that just to keep the peace. Like, I'm not going to say anything or whatever like that. I think that's why they did that.
Okay.
Also, I'm going to add to that sauce, Hawk. So I even look at their relationship as going with emotions also, right? And trying to find that spark. Yes. And what I notice is, and when I say going with emotions, she's so focused on school, and she was like, I want to get this done by any means possible. And you've already achieved what you achieved, and I'm trying to basically get to your level. So when I'm looking at this, I'm like, man, I'm like, dude, I see two couples that are perfect, but I see two couples where the spark is leaving too. And when
Mm-hmm.
the spark's leaving, it's like when you notice when she went to go see him fight, she ended up saying, "Ooh, am I wrong for saying this is turning me on?" Right? And you remember they haven't had sex. I don't, and I throughout the whole series, I don't think they've really was having sex like that. And
You
he
know,
was trying. Mhm.
you I don't think you really see them get intimate or really kiss
Right.
till like really towards the end when they were high.
Yep. Yep.
And
Yep. When they were high. Exactly.
right.
Exactly.
But I think that's when did they already find out that, he was fighting as well too?
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
So yeah, it wasn't towards the end where you kind of saw their relationship get a little bit more intimate than
Yep.
before they were, like you said, kind of going through the motions. So I agree with you.
Yep. So that's why I say I got to give Hulk credit. But also, I'm looking. I'm like, man, I just see a couple that I think their relationship is the most easiest to fix in the show
Mm-hmm.
because it wasn't. It had dysfunction, but it was a fixable dysfunction. It's like this is fixable. I mean, we can
Yeah.
definitely do this. And then, like you said, the professor, I kind of knew his intentions when I seen him and how he was looking at it. I said, nah, I said he wouldn't go there. But I said, I wouldn't put it past him. And
I
then he
know.
was on the phone with his wife, which was messed up, before he even touched her. And I was sitting back and I said, no, they're not gonna go there. And he did it, and I was like, wow. I said, this is ridiculous. But I think just that getting them that spark. And I think that's what a lot of marriages and relationships lack sometimes because you're so focused on. I'm guilty of it. Hawk, you probably guilty of it.
Mm-hmm.
Focus on kids and going with the motions and everybody trying to say, hey, I'm good. And we trying to make sure the house is taken care of. What about O'Shea? Trying to make sure the house is taken
Let
care of.
me shout out to my guy O'Shea
What
Duke
up, O'Shea?
Jackson. Thing I thought you was going to call me back in Memphis. I am from Nashville. Thank you, O'Shea, but I appreciate you so much.
Nashville
But
to the core, baby.
yes, sir. Born and raised.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, I just see, and I'm like I said, I'm guilty of it. You guilty of it. How it's just when you're so focused on trying to make sure the family is staying afloat and trying to make sure the family's here, you lose track of each other. You need that spark, and I think that they got that spark back after she seen them fighting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Lorenzo, you was going to say something, and I think this is one of your favorite parts in the series. And this is when we found out that Murch was an MMA fighter, and he didn't tell his wife. And then she found out because the students that he was going viral on the internet, him fighting, and the students was passing around, and then it got to the kids, and then she saw it. She ran down there,
Yep.
and then you can finish it. Then what happened? And why
So
did you
yeah,
like
so
this part
so
so
when the fight was over, first of all, she supported him. She wasn't like panicking, right? And if she did, I understand. But she sat down and just watched. She saw his friends were there. They was kind of like, "Hey man, he's good. Let him do his thing," right? And at the end, when he was, he was hyped that he won. She came out there, man, and supported him. You know what I'm saying? And
much?
I don't know why. Maybe it triggered something, but I thought that was really cool. That though he was doing something different, I think she understood why he was doing that. I think she understood that. That's why she wasn't
Mhm.
upset, or because sometimes women have a bad attitude. Oh, what are you doing out here? Blah 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 blah. Without maybe just like, hey, understand first, right? Get that, trust your husband first before you have an attitude about something. Trust that he's going to make the decision he's making is for the best for the family, or even for himself, for the family, right? And so I think that was her approach when she came out on the stage. She hugged him and everything. And I felt like he wasn't being judged. I think he was like, "Damn, my wife is here with me. Maybe I should have told her. That's my bad." You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
that from that he said, "From now on, we're going to communicate." I think he felt bad for that, and he said, "We're going to." And she was with it. She had no
Mhm.
attitude or nothing. Like, let's communicate. You know what I'm saying? Let's stop bull crapping and let's talk. So
Yeah.
I thought that scene was a special scene.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like that scene. And I
yeah,
think it did spark some a little because at the end of the day, let me say, women love to see their man in a fighting protective mode sometimes. It makes us feel like, you know what? If anybody try me, look, my man got me. This just innately in us. A woman wants to feel protected. A woman wants to feel provided for. Provision was never a problem, but
right.
and I think she loved him. But that added a little spice where she if anything were to happen, I
Yeah,
know my husband
yeah.
is able to protect me in any kind of way. He definitely had those hands.
Yeah, that's a
So
fact.
shout out to Merch. I
Yeah.
love the
Hopefully
development
Merch
of the
knocked
character.
it off when they went home.
I'm pretty
We
sure.
probably
Do you
did.
think, Merch?
Yeah, go
Do you
ahead,
think, bro?
Merch.
For sure.
Okay, so then we kind of get introduced to another character, which, I wasn't prepared for.
Okay.
And that is the character of LJ.
Okay.
Now, the character of LJ, this was Lance's son. His firstborn, LJ, is Lance Jr. In the movie, we saw him at the beginning where his dad, Lance, was trying to create another football player and so focused on him playing football. But then you also saw him working with Jordan and being her assistant. And so we saw him trying to do both, but then it started kind of evolving into, him not wanting to go in the footsteps of his dad and him wanting to be his own man. And his own man became quite a stir. And then we found out that LJ was binary.
Yep.
And we found out that LJ decided to put his cleats away and put on a pump. And then we saw that he was doing TikToks and wasn't feeling like he was himself. And then that turned into a whole storyline, which I think is important to talk about. So let's start it off like this. LJ, his son. Were you surprised at how Lance, his dad, took the news that his son was binary, didn't want to be a football player, but said that he sometimes feels like a man and sometimes he feels like a woman?
Well, I'll answer that one. I'd say this. So I am a man, and
You are.
yeah, I have sons as well that play sports, in particular football, around the same age as him and his son LJ. So very similar in that regard, right? So I think his initial reaction was better than I thought that a man will react when you first find out without anyone telling you, right? Because he saw it on a TikTok video, okay? And so, some men would have went to the room and would have went off, would have went hit him up Tupac in the room. Like, what the hell are you doing? Get the hell out of the room now. We're going to the home now, right? That's what I probably would have thought his reaction would have been, knowing how much he wanted his son to play football and just be a man itself, right? No question about that. But his initial reaction was like, we need to talk and we need to talk now. And that is true. They need to talk, right? Because this is new to him. Think about you chilling. Next thing you know, your son is like, whoa, this is my child. Like, he wasn't expecting that. He's a single father. He's doing the best he can. And all of a sudden this happens or whatever. So I don't think his initial reaction, it could have been worse. I'd say that. Okay. Some people might have thought he was harsher than initial. I don't think he was initially. Now, throughout the time frame and from that point, some people, it just takes a while for them to adapt. You seeing your son and that's not what you expected, your son to trade the Nike cleats for some Louboutin shoes, right? You're not expecting that. Okay. So he just kind of like, well, damn, like, well, my son is going through a phase. It is what it is. It just took a while for him to accept. Now, I think the mistake that Lance made in this is he should have led the talk and the conversation on like, bro, I'm your father. We need to talk. We need to have this discussion. I don't think they had any discussion from the time he found out on TikTok until the time he found him at that shelter place. I don't think there was ever a conversation between them to say, hey, man, you need to let me know how you feel. It's just more of a directive. Hey, you need to do this, 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 and this, or whatever. So you can't change people. LJ is who he is, right? So you either accept him or you don't as his father. As a dad, as a parent, I'm not saying you have to accept what they do, but you have to accept them as who they are, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? And so,
Right.
I think that I don't think his initial reaction was bad. Maybe some people might think that. I don't think it was bad. I think he was just shocked. Like, what is this? What is this? Like seeing your child 15 years old getting drunk or something. Like, oh, what is going on? Or, them doing something that you've never seen them do, right? And I think that he could have had some more understanding up to that point just by talking to him. But I understand why he just didn't initially accept the situation. It's going to take a while to accept based on the fact that he's a man.
So, and great points, Hawk. So his reaction, and as Hawk iterated, I play ball too. So you're getting a perspective from two brothers that play football, and their dream is to have your seed, especially if you got sons, to follow in your footsteps, right? And his reaction didn't surprise me at all. I was looking, I said, I expected it. Matter of fact, I kind of knew something was wrong with LJ when he was out there practicing, and he was practicing with his buddies, and they were practicing. And I think LJ played DB. And I was like, I said, and when he looked at his dad, his dad almost says, Dad, I don't want to do this. And this really ain't me. And I got something to tell you, but I don't know how to do it. And then when I seen the interaction with him and Jordan and the way he was smiling and everything, and I was watching with my wife, and I said, I think he might be something. I don't know if he might be gay, but I didn't expect the non-binary thing. And I said, okay, I knew something was off with him. The problem is with these shows and these movies is we constantly have to write in this type of stuff. And somebody said it in the comment section. It reminded me of the D Wade situation, right? We always have some type of an agenda wrote in there, right? And I'm like, okay, we could have kind of left that part out, but it's based in reality, right? I got kids. If that happens, then I have to accept it. It's like, okay, I love you, son. Do what you do. I don't live that lifestyle. You do what you do. I still love you. And I think that's where Lance made the mistake was, like you said, Hawk, instead of talking to him, he didn't have any action with him and listen to what he had to say. If he would have listened to LJ and, hey, let me holler at you, bro. Let me listen to why you doing this. What is making you do this? Teach me why you want to be this way. I think LJ would have took it better, and he wouldn't have turned around and tried to, because damn near everybody thought he was about to kill himself, right? And he ran off. And I think that's what clicked in Lance's head. Like, I need to understand my son before I lose him, right? Or whatever. He didn't call him his son. I think he called him Dave, them. The non-binary thing is crazy, man. But he trying to understand it. So I think that it hit Lance. It's like, damn, I might lose my son. I already lost my wife. So kid, because I'm not understanding what type of new thing that he got going on. Let me get it out. And you got to think about it, guys. We're from a different era. So that's new to us. It's like, I don't understand this stuff. I don't understand these pronouns. I don't get that and all that crap. So
I thought it was funny because Quentin, Terrence Howard in the movie, when he found out, he was like, binary. What is that? What is that? Like, all kind of confused. Yeah. Which I think, again, it's a generational thing, which I appreciate in the movie because it's true to generational. Like, being 40 and above, you don't know. That wasn't a thing back then. But now the generation in their 20s and the early 30s, I guess, that is a thing, and that is something that I think people are going through. But of course, you knew they was going to throw in some kind of agenda pushing someone had to be gay.
Right.
I thought at first it was going to be Sanaa Lathan, but they decided not to do it with her.
Me too.
And now it's the son. Now, Lorenzo, you were saying that there were people that was saying the way that Lance, the dad, reacted. They were mad about his reaction.
Yeah. And the fact that he didn't just like initially accept it, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, that's not reality. That's not reality. And when you talk about your child, right? Somebody else's child, cool. That is what it is. That's your child. And he bears your name, right? He's LJ. That's Lance Jr. That's his son. So, and then, the fact that, and I get why other people didn't say anything, because that's, as a friend, how do you tell somebody that? If anything, maybe you could say, hey, bro, talk to your son, bro. What do you mean? Just talk to him, bro. What? Just holler at your son, man. Just, you know what I'm saying? Or something like that. I don't know how that would be, right? But yes, I did hear people say that. And I was like, I don't agree with that. I get his reaction. I understand. And he didn't blow off like some other men probably would have. They were, what the F? What? He could have really went off. But his anger or his position was understood, in my opinion. And then from there, you talk and try to get an understanding of what's going on or whatever, So, yeah, man, that's tough to see your child You know, the cisgender stuff and those things, again, a whole bunch of people didn't know about it. See, that has, because of this when the movie, now people are like, well, what is this? And now people are starting, oh, okay. And so, like, I didn't know about it until, like, you start, like, looking, say, like, say you're doing applications or whatever. They'll ask if you're a cisgender male or female. Are you non-binary, binary, or whatever like that? So, again, this is new verbiage for our generation for sure. You know what I mean? And so a lot of people, even when I was watching movies, it's like, what is this? And I knew about it. You know what I'm saying? I say, this is what this is. Like, oh, okay. You know, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna real quick at Courtney. I'm gonna add to that with when Jordan works at MSNBC, and if you look at the panel of people that she worked with was all white people. And if you look at the decision making that they were doing and running numbers and everything and saying, hey, we need to get the millennial this and we need to get that, it kind of ties into with this the binary thing, right? And who's pulling the strings in the background. So I think Zoe E99 said, if it doesn't get greenlit, if someone who is black ain't gay. And again, pushing the agenda, right? In these shows and in these movies. We've seen it in Black Panther, right? We did a review of Black Panther, right? It's constantly getting pushed and pushed and pushed. And yeah, it's based off of reality, but I would say in a small part of reality, right? So I just want to put that real quick.
Well, let's talk about Jordan, Nia Long's character, and how she knew about LJ the son being binary. She didn't mention a word to the father at all. She brought him a coming out gift, which was a Rolex. And then once LJ's father found out, she was kind of on his back. You need to accept him. And that's why he comes to me and not you. And you need, and telling him what he needs to do with his child. Was she out of place? And should this have been already a conversation since she said that she was the godmother? Was this a conversation that should have already been had with Lance?
Yes, she was hella out of place. Matter of fact, if you're the godmother and you sit there and you are supposed to be the godmother of my kids, I need you to come and talk to me, right? Not with him held any secrets. But I think we all iterated earlier, Jordan don't respect me in any way, right? She don't want a husband anyway. So that's what a wife would do to a husband. Hey, babe, let me talk to you. We need to talk about Junior, right? Junior is off a little bit, right? But that was disrespectful as hell what she did by withholding that information behind his back. So yes, hella disrespectful. I didn't like it. What you think, Hawk?
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you this. I have talked to people who actually think that she was not out of pocket. And I was like, I totally disagree. You have to look at it as a parent. That's my child. That's my child. Like, I think for those that don't have children, don't quite understand that dynamic. That's my child. And so for her to sort of encourage it, right, without getting the blessing from his father, that's a problem. That's a problem. I know she's trying to be good auntie, right? Cool. I understand that. But it's like, hey, before I give you these gifts or before I just can say go 100%, you know, I got to talk to your dad because I know your dad don't agree with this. Let's just talk to your father. You know what I'm saying? If you get that, then let's go with it. It shouldn't be, that's like, you know, it's sort of like I'm encouraging you to keeping on without telling your dad. Now, some people might say, well, he don't have to tell his father. Well, why wouldn't he not? That's your dad and you're living under his household, under his rules. You see what I'm saying? So he's like, you know, I just think that you have to look at it as a parent. This is my son. Jordan, you could have told me. He went off on her. He did go off on her. He said, stay the F away from my son. He did say that, right?
He did say that.
He did say that. He set the record straight with her, right?
He did.
And I know later on he apologized because I think he was more like, well, maybe, I think he took it on himself. Like, so you brought up a point about the fact Lance, I think you said this, that Lance may not have been around as much as a parent because he himself said, this parent thing is kind of tough for me. You know, I'm not around as much. And he kind of said some stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying he would have found out eventually, but maybe he would have. And maybe that could have been a discussion that could have happened. And him going into a shelter and having these new friends, his dad had no idea about those things. Nothing. His dad knew nothing about that.
Yeah. Well, well, with the conversation that we had, and even trying to get deeper in, you know, their situation and the, you know, how they were playing it, and I'm just trying to look at it differently. And Lance, the whole entire season, the series, he had a whole dealing with the death of his wife and
Facts.
how hard it was. And dealing with the death of his wife, he substituted other women. And his focus was other women and getting laid and trying to get over the emotions of losing a spouse.
Yep.
But also in that, he mentioned that he wasn't being a good dad, that he couldn't parent, and that he wasn't there. And every time you saw him, those kids wasn't there until the end of the movie.
Yep.
And I thought that was an important lesson because it's dealing with grief, how to balance dealing with it, healing, but also not neglecting your role. You're still a parent and your kids still need you. And I just think with LJ, it just showed that when you open your children up and you're not their covering and you're not dad and you're not mom, you allow your kids to be open to anybody. Now, whether he was born that way or got introduced to it, you don't know.
Right.
But the idea is you don't know. You don't know who he's around. And I just think that just showed an opening that happened in his family because he wasn't able to deal with the grief and he wasn't able to be a parent.
Yep. Facts,
So,
no paper. That's a fact.
so yeah, that's what I thought. But then, like I said, I think an important conversation that hasn't had or haven't been having is we tend to look at people saying you need to accept and you need to love your child regardless. You need to accept it and accept. But no one is saying, well, what if as a parent I don't agree? I don't
Yes.
have to accept his decisions. I
That's
can
right.
love him, but not accept what he's doing.
That's
And
right.
that's not how. What does that look like? If I'm Lance and I love you, I can love you, but I don't have to accept what you're doing. I don't believe in it. How does that look like at a parent?
Right.
I would
Because
have
he
liked,
took the credit card away from him.
yeah,
Let
he
you
said,
know
yeah,
he
he said, you
like,
ain't buying no more of those clothes. You got to get
yep.
that through me.
That's right.
So I
But
thought
some
that was,
people will look at that as him being mean, being an alpha personality, and being sort of a toxic masculinity situation and those
yeah,
things or whatever like that. And I think the only mistake in that is just him when he found out about it. He should have had that conversation with LJ. Just have a conversation.
yeah,
But outside of that, I understand why he didn't accept that lifestyle. That's his opinion. You know what I
yeah,
mean? That he didn't hate his son. He go kill his son, right? I just don't agree with it. You know what I mean? But I still love you.
yeah.
If he didn't love him, he wouldn't have went to go search him and
And
all
was
and do
searching
those
for him.
things. He'd have been
Right.
like, "Look, go do your thing, bro."
I agree. Let me
And even
read.
apologize at the end and say, "Hey, I'm sorry that I wasn't being the best father to you and those things." And
Mhm.
the son said something that was cut when he said, "I wish it was
Oh yeah.
you
Oh,
instead of
he
your
said
mama."
sometimes I wish it was you that was gone instead of my mom. Yeah, that
Is
cut
that not a
deep.
hurtful comment, man?
That
Yes,
Listen,
sir.
that
cut
makes
deep.
me
Hell of a
angry.
curveball. Yep.
That hurts.
Mhm. Courtney, that comment you just had up,
Yeah.
I
Let
told
me
Hawk this. Go ahead,
let
read.
me
You read it. Go ahead.
yeah,
Go,
like I
go
said,
ahead.
better you. I appreciate the super chat. It's I turned it off after the whole non-binary thing. Nothing is anyone different, but I dislike the constant portrayal of black men in that way in media.
So an observation that I told Hawk that I noticed in this whole series was the portrayal of lack of black boys or black men in this. Now we got our main characters, right? We know we do.
Mm-hmm.
See what I'm saying? But look how fast they turn the son non-binary, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then each other couple had girls. You see what
Right.
I'm saying? So
Yep.
when you had the boys and me and Hawk got sons, I'm like, I got sons. I got a son, right? And when I cut it on, I'm like, okay, well, they turned him into a non-binary. Then you got all the girls in here. And I know Lance has a younger son that we only see maybe like 2 or 3 times throughout the series. But I resonate with this comment because it's true. When you in shows and everything, they constantly portray black men in a way to where we are either gay, non-binary, the like in Black Panther, how they did in Baku, right? Make them soft. It's the butt of the jokes. And I think that's getting to the point where it's getting old. It's getting real old fast,
Mm-hmm.
right? And like I said, with that could have been written a certain way, in a different way. But again, we had it. Somebody said it the best. It won't get greenlit if we don't have this in there.
You gotta have it in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Um, yeah, I I think we put a lot of pressure on parents just in general in society of you need to accept, you need to accept. But no one again talks about the process of how to get there. How do you think a parent's gonna feel? This boy's in his what 20s, I guess, late teenager, early 20s. You were my son. Now all of a sudden you think you're a woman. I've known you for 20 years as LJ. Now you want to be Latifah. That's a process that I have to go through. But no one looks at it on the parent side. No one looks again as the dad side is that you're carrying my name, you're my legacy. You were supposed to be a football player like me. And I mean, as parents, you do have dreams for your kids. As a parent, I want my child to succeed. I want my daughter to be a better version of me. And to think of my child being a better version of her dad because she want to be a dad, that's gonna take some.
That's gonna take a minute.
That's gonna take a minute.
Yeah, it takes a
And
minute.
it doesn't happen overnight. And so, not to give a parent grace or even to see the grace
Facts.
or even to see that, that's I think we're missing it.
That's a
on
fact,
our part.
Courtney. That's a fact.
Mhm.
And that's why I say I think do y'all think his initial reaction, him finding out, was right on cue? Could have been worse. Could have been. What do y'all think?
Could have been worse. Like
Yes.
I told you,
Real
if I
worse.
would have I would have been like, now wait a minute, who? And you ain't gonna talk to me about it. You talking to other people, and other people know about your business as my child. I feed you, I raise you, I put a roof over your head, I give you clothes on your back, and I don't know nothing
Facts.
about you. Like that's gonna be a problem for me. And then your friend, whatever that person was, I didn't know if it was a man. I didn't know what that was walking, really. But then you want to take shots at me. Well, they felt like that they couldn't talk to you. Who are you?
Yep.
Do you take care of my son,
Yep.
daughter, whatever? No. So I would have probably had
And
probably more smoke. So he was very calm, in my opinion.
Lance was in his merch, right? Lance was.
He held
was on
back
his
a
merch.
lot.
Yep. He was like,
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. He held back a lot.
Yep.
So anybody saying that he did it wrong, I'm like, you must not be a parent.
Exactly. Oh, exactly.
And he's a Christian parent at that.
Christian
So,
parent.
there's some tradition and ideologies, gender roles that all goes into that religion that should be respected as well, because that's my belief. And you can't change my belief.
That's
just
right.
because you different don't mean that I'm going to be. So
Facts, man.
yeah.
Facts.
So I don't know. So yeah, this movie series, it ended with me wanting more.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
All right. So on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the best, 1 being what the hell, what would you give the Best Man final chapters? What is your score of the series?
Go for it, Jacques. You got it. All right. So
and you got to tell me why.
Okay, absolutely. Right. And I got my review, like I said, coming out later, probably today or tomorrow. I'm actually giving it a 4.5. And yeah, I give it a 4.5 due to the writing, right? And like I said, I give Malcolm credit. What he did was he captured the vibe from the first movie, from the second movie to this particular show. And I felt like when I was looking at these characters, it almost took me back in time. Like ain't nothing changed with them, right? And I'm looking, and you were able to close some arcs and close some stories, and then some stories are still left wide open. And I got my critiques with some of the writing as well. I praise the writing, but then like I said, I got some critiques with the writing and the agenda stuff. But for me, I give it a 4.5. And I'm like you, Courtney. It left me wanting more. And when you do that from a critic standpoint, and I review movies and shows, you've done your job. So I give you credit. So that's for me.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Okay. So for me, Jacques and Courtney, y'all both know I'm not a real big TV watcher. I think y'all know that. Like I'll watch some football, basketball. I watch sports all day. I mean, if I'm gonna watch something, and I might watch some news for sure, right, about just different things. But there are certain movies and certain things that does grasp my interest in Best Man for sure, because I was a big Best Man fan. Courtney, you've been knowing that since it started, right? And so this definitely grasped my attention. And binge watching or something, it actually was pretty cool. The only other one I've done of recent was the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. You know what I mean? Binge watching or whatever. But I walked away I'm giving this about a 4.75, 710, or something like that. Like 4 point, very close to 4.8. Okay, so a whole bunch of numbers after 4.7. Okay, all right. So I
Okay.
really, I really enjoyed it. I think the
Mm-hmm.
characters stayed true to who they were. A lot of times when you do sequels and part threes of things, they don't turn out well at all. And I think that this was a great continuation of the movies. I think it was a multifaceted series. It covered a lot of different things within it. Like it was so many stories within it. Look, the fact we've talked about it for 2 hours and we talked about not just one situation. I'm talking probably 30 situations with
Yeah.
each character and even
Right.
how they all sort of melted together in many facets of the movie, right? So
Right.
I think it was well written. The settings of different places was great. The relationships that they seemed like they really know each other like personally. That's how they mesh very well from an acting standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
If I was to knock it again, I do think there was some missing parts in the story. I think there was a big gap. I think they crammed the number 8, this episode 8. They crammed it a lot. They put mayonnaise, peanut butter, pickles, lettuce, tomato. They put it all in one sandwich. Okay, even put chips in it and French fries in it. They just here's one big sandwich, eat it all, right? And
Yeah.
so where it could have extended maybe 2 or 3 more series. You know what I'm saying? Maybe. But outside of that, I mean, I thought it was excellent. I
Yeah.
think I thought it was great, man. So I
Yeah.
like how the characters were played and the storyline was overall very, very well for me.
Right. And I give it a 4.2.
Okay. All right.
A 4.2. Because I wanted more. The ending, I didn't. I hated the fact that Tay Diggs, Harper, and Robin. I hated their situation, and I know that it's life, but I was very optimistic for their relationship. So I wanted to see a coming back. Um, I hated that. I felt like Jordan felt like she won.
Yeah.
It was some about, and
Evil.
I'm gonna talk about that because
Okay,
that's
go
gonna be
ahead.
my last question before we wrap up.
Okay.
I just felt like Jordan won, and I hated to see that, and I hated to see this the dissolvement of their marriage.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, sorry, okay, I didn't give it a 5. There was some stuff. The ending, like I said, I just wanted more, and I wanted to expand more on them. So yeah, so I'll give it a 4.2.
Okay.
All right, so on my community page, and I know you tweeted, Lorenzo, you did a tweet about the villain.
Yep.
And so I put this on my community post, and if you guys could go ahead and vote for it on there. But I wanted to know during the series, and we're going back from movie 1 to the end of the series, who was the biggest villain? And I had 3 choices. I had Harper, who was played by Tay Diggs. I had Robin, who was played by Sanaa Lathan. And then I had good old Jordan, played by Nia Long. Now, I got over 100 votes. It was 102, and 69% said Robin,
Oh,
20% said Harper, and only 12% said Jordan.
wow.
So,
Okay. Wow.
I don't know if your poll
Yeah,
said the
I
same
got
thing.
my
Or,
phone.
okay, what did your poll say?
All right, so I'm looking now. It says, all right, I had 40 votes. 40.
Okay.
65% Harper, Tay Diggs' character.
Okay, that was matching with
30%,
mine.
30% Robin, Sanaa Lathan, and
Oh,
only 5% Jordan, Nia Long's character.
okay.
Interesting.
So, but pretty much kind of the same was Robin, Sanaa Lathan was the villain.
No, Harper, did I
Oh,
say?
yeah.
I said, yeah, Harper was the villain on the votes.
Oh,
The
Harper
votes
was the
that I had.
villain for
He
you,
had the
and Sanaa
highest number.
Lathan was the
Yes.
villain for
If
me.
I said
Okay.
Robin, that's my mistake. It was Harper. Harper,
Well,
Tay Diggs.
I probably heard it wrong.
Okay.
Okay. Do you agree with your poll or my poll, or do you have something different? I don't care who goes first, but who is the villain of the series, a best man one, a best man holiday?
Now, if we're gonna answer the series, I know me and Hawk talked about this. I know Hawk, I gave you my villain of this particular show.
Yeah.
But of the series, of the whole entire series, I'm gonna say this. I'm actually gonna go with Harper. Okay. And the reason,
Oh.
yeah, the reason why I'm going with Harper is because Harper has kind of been selfish throughout the whole series, right?
Yep.
It's kind of his,
Mhm.
really not kind of, it is his fault. The reason why all this mess started in the first place, right? Him writing the book, the infamous book, right? And he got his ass whooped
Mhm.
by Lance. Lance beat the brakes off of him. Now, if we're talking about this particular series, then my answer was different. But if we're talking, I mean, the show, but if we're talking about the whole series, for me, it's Harper, and Harper knows what he's been doing throughout the whole series, right? With Jordan,
Mhm.
right? You monkey barring Jordan, bro. You and Jordan got this thing where y'all continue to call each other from time to time, have lunch, whatever. We're just close friends, BS, right? And so me, Harper, man. So and Hawk, I know it changed, Hawk. I know because me and
Hey,
Hawk
it's all good.
me and Hawk had this conversation. We had this conversation offline.
Yeah.
And if it was the series, this new series, for me, it was Sanaa Lathan's character, right? Just because the fact she took her child to Ghana and that really pissed me off. But
Right.
throughout the whole series, it's Harper.
Harper. Okay.
Right.
So you're team villain Harper. Got it. All right.
Okay. So I might have had a slight change myself, just a little bit. I think only on percentages, but we'll see. Okay. So can I give you my percentages on what I think? Courtney, is that okay? On the
You
villain?
do
Can I
whatever
do
you
that?
want to do.
Because tomorrow I might tell you somebody different. Okay, like because it's really two characters that I'm the most pissed off at, to be honest with you, that I think
Okay.
would be the villains, and they are in the same household under the Stewart house, and that's Harper and Robin. You know what I'm saying? As far as the villain, I'm gonna give Harper a slight edge. I'm gonna say 45% of the pie is on him. Okay,
Okay.
I think he's very selfish through the movies and through the series. With his friends, putting their life out there for the most part, not really consulting things. Screwing Lance's wife, all these different things, right? Just throughout the movie, then going to the series, it's like he hasn't changed. He hasn't developed. He hasn't learned. To be sort of self-conscious and say, hey man, I'm making mistakes right here. I need to change. It's all about me at the end of the day. Even with his wife, there were points at times in the movie that they had their counseling and things. I think he was trying to understand some things. It's just not in him. So and I think what pushed the edge, because to me, him and Robin were about a tie for me. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm literally like 50-50. But what he did with Jordan, that's what put him over the edge. Now, Robin did some stuff too, but I think the kissing scene at the end and those things, we don't know if they got intimate or not because they never denied it. You know what I'm saying? Jordan never denied to Shelby that it didn't happen. When Shelby was like, I know you did your thing. Here goes Jordan. I mean, that's not a no. If it was a no, she'd be like, hell no, I didn't do nothing with that Joker, right? She never said that, right? And so that's what put the edge for me for Harper to be at about a 45%. I'm giving 35% to Robin, her, the lady that you have on the screen right now.
Right. Okay.
I felt her attitude stunk. I felt that, even if Harper was really trying, I still don't think she would have given him a fair chance. I think that she was not inclusive within the group. I don't think she was as supportive. She wasn't open in her conversation. Like, you can't be a mind reader. The counselor said that to her. And I don't feel like she still was being that way with Harper. I think Harper was like, bro, you throwing this all on me. I have no idea what you're talking about. You know what I'm saying? And so I think she emotionally still feels a certain way about Jordan. So I'm gonna punish you instead of forgiving you. I'm gonna punish you. That's not the way to love. You forgive, you don't punish. And at the end of the day, the only person you're hurting is yourself. That's like drinking bleach to try to hurt somebody else. You're hurting yourself. So I'm giving 35% to her. The rest, Courtney, you almost had me to have her as the main one, is Jordan. I'm giving Jordan 20% of the blame. I think 45, 35, and 20. Is that 100%? I think so. I think 20% is her fault because she was a sneaky little woman. Okay, I want to say something else. Okay, she was
Jezebel.
Yes, Jezebel. Perfect. She was in the midst of everything, and every time Jordan it was around, Harper and Robin would be kicking it. Jordan's right here. Hey, y'all. Hey, he could be eating cereal with his wife. She's right here. Like, there's always around. And she knew he was married. I think at the end, she set that up with Harper. I'm bringing you to my apartment. We got this toy that's got these rubber band balls, things I've been holding on forever. That's real sentimental.
Yeah,
You
it
can't be
was.
looking at me all sexy and sentimental, me not wanting to do something with you. You can't do that. I'm a grown man. I can't withhold myself in that regard. So being in that situation, she know he was married. She takes the blame as well. She helped to destroy their marriage. But Robin leaving her daughter to Ghana. Jacques, as you mentioned, seeing your daughter waving at you and you crying, that almost put Robin over the top. I'm telling you.
That pissed me off,
That's
man.
why she's saying, Robin, you something else, dog. You something else, bro. But Harper, with the infidelity piece at the end, might have been the camel that broke the straw that broke the camel's back for me.
Yeah.
Yep. Harper was the villain. Harper.
So we got Harper for 2 and 2 for Harper.
Yep.
Man. So, I'm battling, but I cannot stand this one here.
Woo!
I can't.
I knew it was coming.
And the reason why I can't stand her, because through it all, she was methodical through all of it. Like, she's a planner. She knows control and she knows how to get what she wants. And I think through all the movies, the first one, the second one in this series, she knew what to do to get what she wanted. She knew to hang around. She knew that she wasn't going to go anywhere. And that's why I hated the end, because I felt like she won. The dissolvement of their marriage, for her to be still, hi, I'm Robin, and not I'm Robin, but I'm Jordan. I think she got what she wanted. And the end all, I don't think she wanted Harper. I think she just wants to win. I think she has the personality type that wants to be in control, and always had control over Harper because she knew his love for her. And she knew that she wasn't in any kind of predicament to be a wife, but she always knew that she had that something, that powerful little lusty spirit. Look at her with her titties out. She knew what she had.
Facts.
And she played her role great. She messed up her little role of being the godmother, her little secretive, I'm controlling the situation, completely control the situation out of LJ and his dad. It's just something about her, I think, was just completely sneaky. And with Harper, I think he's dumb at times. I don't think, they say the road to hell is paved with good intentions. I think that's Harper. I don't think he intentionally is wanting to do harm to people. He's just selfish and sometimes needs to get a reality check sometimes. But he was trash. He has some trash moments.
Yeah.
But I think that she knew what she was doing. There wasn't no good intention in this lady at all. She wanted control. She was like a little evil puppet master to me. It's just something about her I didn't like. And I think she continuously played the villain. I think Sanaa Lathan, her part, the taking of the child, I think was the most ridiculous thing that happened throughout the whole entire movie. Because through it all, they still had their children. And they understood the importance of also, having your children there. Even old crazy Lance and him not being able to focus on his family, he still had his kids there. He didn't ship them off to his parents or her parents or nobody else. He still was trying to be a dad. But the shipping, the going away to Ghana, the most heartbreaking, I think, was in the SUV when they're leaving and she's crying. The daughter's crying. And she couldn't even console her daughter.
That pissed me off.
She couldn't even hold her daughter. It's okay. She just looked at her, man, look, we gone, bye.
Yeah.
That, I think,
Jacques, you said she put her arm down, right?
Yes. If you look at the scene, if you go back and look at the scene, she was waving and she put her arm down. I said, wow. I said, wow.
Damn, Robin.
Man. Oh. See, when it comes, I know, I don't. Oh, man. I can't stand Jordan. Okay, I can't. But that part at the end was maybe that took the cake out of all of it.
It did. Might be the worst
I
act of all.
might, yeah, that might be the worst act of all that trumps everything. That might be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Darn.
He had all the right to be mad because he was pissed off that she was sending him to Ghana. And like you said, iterated Hawk, he could have went too. But I also understand, hey, why are you taking my daughter all the way across the pond, and I have to come over here and see it was a lot, man. So yeah.
Especially
Yeah.
for a good father. You know what I'm saying? That's there for his child.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? And it's, you know, just out of the blue. And then she comes to the house acting like he's supposed to be just cool with everything. No. Well, we're gonna have this argument. Let's get chopping, right? You fake
Mhm.
African, Kuta Kinte, all of a
They
sudden, right?
meant that part. You said that was one of your favorite parts as
It
far as
was.
he went off. She said, "You cool Uncle Tom, you fake kente cloth wearing." I said, that was cut. That was a
It
good
was
run.
cutting deep.
They were cutting deep.
They were cutting deep. And then Terrence Howard what did Terrence Howard say at the end when you know Tay Diggs put old gal in her place, and he was like, "That's real talk. That's real talk."
No,
And he
that
said,
was hilarious.
"Keep my wife's name out of your mouth."
That's funny. That's funny.
Man.
You know, Terrence Howard, Q kept saying "happy wife, happy life" throughout remember that throughout those couple of episodes. He's like, "Man, why y'all didn't tell me happy wife, happy life? This shit works.
Mhm.
Happy wife, happy life." And then the stress of that, because you know you that's BS. Happy wife, happy life is BS. I'm sorry, man.
Mhm.
How many men go through that in marriages and just period? And you listening when he said that, and then and that scene after he said shit, it is at that point he went to the old Q. I was like, that's the old Q that I
I
remember.
know. He went back to his.
Yeah, that's right.
Back to the
That's
old
right.
Q. I was like, that's him.
Yeah.
Courtney, you
All right.
brought up a hell of a point. I
Mhm.
think you said this. I've had so many comments there. I think you said this about, you know, Tay Diggs had an opportunity. I keep saying Tay Diggs. I'm gonna call him by his character. Harper had an opportunity to go to Ghana and could have, maybe should have.
Mm.
You were like saying maybe he didn't want to. Maybe he feels relieved that she's gone.
Yeah.
Right?
I said, yeah.
Yep. And then
I
so
think,
go ahead. I'm
that.
sorry.
Yeah, no, but yeah, I did say it. And I said there's probably a little bit of him that feels a relief that he
Yes.
doesn't have to keep this act of trying to be a father and a dad and that role to her.
Yep.
And it could be that maybe he felt like he was supposed to be that.
Yep.
And I think sometimes we also get into, oh, well, I'm supposed to be this. I'm supposed to be a dad, a mother. I'm supposed to have this. But in actuality, maybe he never wanted it.
Yeah,
And I
that's
think
true.
he felt a relief because he could have gone and left. But no, I'm gonna stay
He
here
said,
and you good. And
you good.
yeah.
That's true though. That's true. That's true. And then he would have made the move to Brooklyn to get close to Jordan. Oh,
Which was the wrong move.
oh. So yeah. And Jacques, to your point about happy wife, happy life, I totally agree. It should be happy spouse, happy house, man. It goes both ways, man. You know, when you're a man, you hear that it's almost like I have to do everything to make her happy, and then I just have to just take bullets all the time. And it's like, no. One thing about this movie, you realize when I look at the Candace's character and Merch, it's like, man, it's for both people, man.
Yeah.
Be there for me, I'll be there for you too.
Right.
I just want to throw that out there. Bro.
That leads to stress and men dying, black men dying early, right? I've seen it in a lot of dynamics and a lot of people that I know. I'm like, happy wife, happy life. Yeah, but you had a heart attack. And I know with Terrence Howard, we know why he had his heart attack, right? Because of the Viagra. But
Viagra, right.
Still, I mean,
keep up.
Eating them like candy.
He was.
Hey, but I like that from Shelby, man.
Hey, you
John, you and I talked about
hey,
that.
yes, we
I'm
did.
like, Shelby, you can't do that to me.
Yes,
I'm
we did.
What?
Every day. I was like,
Every
she keeps it spicy. That's what I'm like. How you keep a man?
Yep.
And your husband happy? That's how you do it.
That's
how
right.
you do it. Take notes.
Yep.
Yeah.
I would leave you. Hey, y'all, I'm gonna holler at y'all. Hey, wait. Hey, bro. I'm gonna holler at
Gotta
y'all.
go.
What you mean? I'm gonna holler at your dog. That's my wife. I'm gonna holler at y'all. For real.
They said keep a man's belly full and balls empty. That's what
Facts.
that's what the people say.
Facts.
So look at this comment, and then I'm gonna wrap up, you guys. It's Tanya. I hope I'm pronouncing it, Tanya. disagree vehemently. Excuse me. Like y'all though. I think she saved herself from continued unhappiness.
Jacques, I'll wait for you on this one, bro.
So we hear this a lot. We
Okay.
do.
Yeah.
We
Go
hear
ahead.
we hear this a lot where the and I took away from that is she's focusing on her, she's focusing on her happiness, she's self-care. And a lot of this innuendos in this series was self-care on the woman's side, right? Self-care,
Mm-hmm.
self-care,
Mm-hmm.
self-care. You heard it from Jordan, you heard it from Merch's wife, now you're hearing it from Sanaa Lathan's character. And with that being said, yes, we see that a lot. But it's also selfish a little bit too, because you're taking a man's kid away from him, right? And to your point, Courtney, yeah. How do we know Harp? He's relieved. He's like, man, I ain't got no responsibility. I ain't got to do this. But
Mm-hmm.
what really resonated with me was when he was sitting on the bench with his daughter, and she gave the homeless man a hamburger, and he said, man, he said, dude, you're just like your mama. I get it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, a father still needs to be in that child's life. So when I see that, I look at it as, yeah, happiness is you can make yourself happy, but also, hey, you got your child. Why are we taking her over across the pond, right? Just so you can be happy. You can be happy. Is your child happy? Does your child want to go? You see what I'm saying? You never took
Mm-hmm.
into consideration of that. You just said, oh, I'm unhappy. I'm not happy. It's me, 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 me. I've lost myself, right? But when I
Mm-hmm.
see it, I'm like, okay, yeah, but this affects everybody else, not just you.
Yeah.
Facts,
Okay.
facts, facts. So, Jacques, I agree. And when I think of this as well too, okay, continued unhappiness is an unfixed variable. What I mean is you're unhappy today, but might not be the case tomorrow. Do we
Mm-hmm.
think that Harper and Robin did everything in their power to try to make it work? I don't think so. They went to few counseling sessions early, and that's it, right?
Yeah.
And it wasn't a situation like, look, there's things we need to work on or work out or whatever. And again, I know Harper. I don't know if he had intimate relations with Jordan or not, but that's not a good situation from a marriage standpoint. I get that, but what defines happiness? Everyone, I guess, has their own definition. But in a marriage, I do think you should at least try to do everything to exhaust all options. I just felt that it was rushed. And I know it'd been years of unhappiness. I get that. But they just started counseling. They just did this over 20 years. Like, we just started doing this. Okay, fine. We started late. But if you have two people willing to go to counseling, at least trying, then that says something. But
Mm-hmm.
if you feel like, hey, that's unhappiness, then hey, and if you can't deal with it, if you decide to leave, then when life throws curveballs at you, then you can't be upset. You have to. Hey, it comes with the territory. To find happiness, sometimes it's a journey that you might keep trying to get, and you might not never get.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you change your situation doesn't mean all of a sudden I'm gonna go to Ghana and find happiness. You got to deal with stuff in Ghana too. You got to always deal with stuff regardless. You know what I'm saying? So while you're
Yeah.
married, you have a husband and a child. Think less of yourself initially. Sometimes, like, I got to think for the family sometimes too, right? And let's see if
Mm-hmm.
we can make this thing work. If the counselor's like, hey, y'all not really doing this. There's been infidelity, or there's been beaten, and all those different things. Then yeah, you might need to change the narrative at that point. But I didn't get that from their relationship. I just think they were
Yeah.
just on two polar opposites of the spectrum, and maybe they could have worked it out. I'm not sure. But
And Courtney, before you close out, I see
Mm-hmm.
James Penn Jr.'s comment. He says Harper lacked leadership in his home. Bottom line, want to know something? I'm gonna add to this, bro. And great comment.
Mm-hmm.
I think most of the men in this series kind of was challenged. It was a challenge to where they wasn't respected by the spouses or their kids, right?
yep.
And the leadership came into question. And I think, to James' point, Harper didn't really have good leadership in his home, right?
Yeah.
He was thinking, okay, hey, I'm supposed to provide a roof over your head. I'm supposed to provide a meal on the table, but also it's other things that you need to provide too when it comes to your household and controlling your household, right? And
Right.
I hear this BS from a lot of new women and modern women say, well, I have to get in my femininity. A man has to make me get in my no. It don't rock like that, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so you control your house, right? And you control it in a way where you control the narrative, but also I respect my wife's opinion too. Hey, what do you think about this? But at the end of the day, hey, it's me. You know what I mean? I'm here. So I wanted to shout you out, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I agree. This is it. She
Appreciate
said,
it, Tanya.
had fun with y'all. Great show. Thanks. And then that, if a man is not respected, whose fault is it?
Uh, it goes both ways. It could be the man's fault and the woman's fault. Some women don't even know what respect looks like when it comes to a man because they were never
Mm-hmm.
raised that way to know what it looks like. So the man could be doing everything that should be respected, and just because maybe he has one bad day, and all of a sudden I'm going to be disrespectful to the man or whatever. Like, man, this man is providing, protecting, loving you, and all those things, and you can't give him grace, and then you give him a lack of respect because you've never seen it. You've never
Yeah.
seen it. So it can go both ways. And even with a man who might not have been around that, they don't know how to be a man in the household and those things or whatever like that. So it's just a matter of maturity between two people and that constant communication that needs to go on. Again, if you need help, get counsel, get some, get a third party in it. You know what I'm saying? That sort of help you out as well too. So
Yeah.
that's at least my thought.
Okay. Well, that has been good. You guys, I appreciate you. I know you guys got some things that you have to take care of. Our Titans, the Tennessee Titans are playing tonight. So we got to support our team, our home team. But before I go, I want to give you guys just a second to again shout out your page, tell them where they can follow you, and we'll end it like that. So let's see. Go ahead, Jock. We'll go to you.
All right. So real quick, shout out to Courtney for allowing me to come back. I know we did our Black Panther review, and hopefully, Courtney, we can continue these reviews because you're real good. You're real good at the movie thing, man. So keep it up. I think you should do a lot more of this going forward. So if you guys want to check me out, man, go to Cool's Movies. It's with an S. I took the S out, but it's Cool's Movies Reviews, and it's on YouTube. And again, my review for The Best Man, this series will be up either tonight or tomorrow, and I do all types of reviews on shows and movies. So, and then of course I'll let my other co-host, because I have another YouTube channel as well. I'll let him shout that out. So, hey, again, Courtney, continue to do this, man.
Yay.
Yes, continue to do this. You're real good at this.
Thank
like
you.
for real.
I appreciate you. Yeah. All right, let's go to the big Hulk. I see you, bro.
Hey, Courtney, as always, again, thank you for inviting me. I know it's my first time on the panel here with you. I know you and me have panel-like conversations over the phone and in person, right? If people would listen in, they'd be like, golly, y'all need to record that, right? So, yep. And so for those that are watching the show, again, Courtney is my sister, like mama, daddy, raising a family and everything. You know what I mean? And I'm the oldest brother, so you know what I mean? So we have incredible conversations. And Courtney, I really respect and appreciate you. Been a fan of the show since day one. Love what you're doing. You're doing a hell of a job. I want you to continue. I'll come back on something. You know what I mean? I enjoy doing this for sure, as you know, and everything. And so y'all, again, if you have not hit the like button, if you're not subscribed, do that now. Hit the like button. Do that right freaking now. Okay. So I had fun doing this panel. This was great. Get an opportunity to talk about, The Best Man was fun. So for me, me personally, Jacques and I, again, we do have a show. We've been doing a podcast now for 4 years. We're from Nashville, born and raised. We live in the city. So Tennessee Titans Weekly is our podcast on YouTube. We're on Instagram as well at Tennessee Titans Weekly. We're on Twitter at Titans Weekly 24/7. We're even on TikTok at Tennessee Titans Weekly. So check us out. We've interviewed a lot of NFL players on the show as well. We have great shows, man. They're off the chain. So check it out if you're a big football fan. Hey, even if you're not, if you want to learn more about it, check us out. Secondly, so I've been doing this now for probably 15 years, man. And so I make instrumentals as far as beats. So those that are into like hip hop, soul, trap beats, I do that on the side as well. I do have a page that's got about 250 beats on it. The beat that's on my sister's show here. The intro is a beat that I've made. So if y'all, check it out, you can subscribe to that as well under Cold Low Beats on YouTube. I'm on Instagram at Cold Low Beats, on Twitter at Cold Low. I promise you'll like the beats. If you like soul sample beats, holla at your boy. I'm there. And if you're into music, if you want to be, hey, reach out to me. Let's make it happen.
I've used one of his beats too, guys. His
right.
My new intro is his beat. So guys, please check out his beats. His beats are solid, man. For real.
Solid.
Thank you. That is correct. That's right. That's right. Even though the newest beat album I did on the album cover is a picture of me and my sister when we were babies, man. You know what I mean? So got to see how pretty she looked as a baby as well, too, man. You know
I
what I
was
mean?
a cute child. I was a cute child. I was a
Yes,
cute
for
child.
sure, for sure. I had the big head with the big afro, so that was me,
Yeah.
the
And
ugly
now
kid.
you bald.
Yeah,
Hair
now
went
I'm
bye
bald.
bye.
Hey,
Yep.
thank you, Shay. Shay, we appreciate that comment, Shay. Yeah,
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 for
it's
sure.
Tennessee folk. We pretty cool down
We
here.
cool folk, man.
We're
We
cool
are.
people.
Yeah.
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 All right. So I appreciate you guys for joining me. This was fun. I knew that it would be. And you guys are awesome to talk to. I love throwing stuff back and forth. Like conversations. Like I said, Jock, I told you we was gonna do it again.
you did. You
Well,
did.
I
You
did.
did. This got to be plenty. This many
It's
more
gonna be
times.
some more times, baby. More times.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna drop you guys off. I'm gonna
All right.
resume. I'm gonna close up and then stay on for one more second, and then we're done.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Sounds good.
You guys, thank you so much for joining me. I wanted to have this conversation again because yesterday me and my big brother was talking about it, and I was like, man, it just was so many layers to the series and to the movies. I thought a lot of it was relatable. I could relate to a lot of it, and I knew you guys could too. So it's just a fun stream. So if you haven't watched it, it's on Peacock, the series. Comment below. Let me know what you guys think about it. Did we get it right? Did we get it wrong? I think everything that I said was obviously correct. So, but I appreciate you guys so much. And we're going to end it now. Again, you guys, I tagged these two awesome, handsome fellas in the title. You guys subscribe to them. Even if you're not a Tennessee Titan fan, if you like sports, they have this weird thing where they just know everything. Like I would sit and think that Skip Bayless somebody there, it's weird how much they know about football and the players and their history. I don't know, but it's all right. So I learned a lot from them. So you guys subscribe to them, like, share, all that hoopla that we always say on these streams. But other than that, you guys, I want to say happy holidays, and I appreciate you guys.